with Jae Tea and Lo. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
Gonna be on the applause. Let it run halfway one more time. Then on the applause, JT will come in.
Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. Classic Conversations
on your applause.
with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to rap. The record's gonna go.
Ooh-wee. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
Write it down, put it in a book.
Ooh-wee.
Oh, they just come down on that one.
Boy,
We heard you, brother.
You know what? We'll do it again. It is 8:30, y'all. Not 8:30. It is 8:30. So it is time for Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
And that's a cop.
Man, we on time. What? Boy, look at us. Look at us. How about
Impressive.
that?
Impressive,
Yeah,
man.
it only took what? 1, 2, 3. What's this? The fourth show of the year. But we got it. We got it there. What's happening, people? Listen, man, we got a great show tonight. We got a lot to unpack. Some pretty heavy topics for tonight. So we're gonna, we need you guys to be a part of this conversation. 404-500-1605. We're gonna be throwing a lot of information at you. We need for you to give us a call because we're actually talking to we don't only want our opinions, but we're gonna need help from our audience out there to let us know their opinion on certain things. So we're gonna go ahead and get things started, as we usually do. Angelo,
What up, brother?
how was your week, my guy?
Good week, man. No complaints at all. We had a real good weekend here at Uptown Comedy Corner, man. Benji Brown was here this weekend, man, and Benji showed out all weekend, man. If you ain't never heard Benji, man, it's absolutely hilarious, brother, with his character Kiki.
That's the one that do the Kiki.
Yeah, man, he does the Kiki thing, man, and it was real cool, real good turnout, great shows. Other than that, man, the weekend was pretty cool, man. I don't have no complaints at all. If I can't remember too many things, it usually means everything went fairly smoothly.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, sir.
That is a beautiful thing. Ask a cop.
Oh, man, it was a lovely week. I was up in Ohio with family.
Okay.
Enjoying it, man. Enjoying it. Too cold for me up that way, but good times.
So nothing on the farm, nothing with the horses, the dogs,
Oh, man, just family.
birds, all that stuff you got out there as a retired man, The retired man got different toys.
How about that?
Different toys. Listen, man, my week, I told y'all before we left last week, my North Carolina Tar Heels won. So I had to have a good week. It started off great. And the thing is, we didn't play again for the rest. We don't play again until tomorrow night. So, you know, my Giants is done. Their season's over with. My Brooklyn Nets, they balling. My contractor finally got started on my fence. It's only been last year. It's only been since last year since I just had the poles just up in the backyard. But he actually got started on that this week. So check this out, y'all. I actually got a parking spot to where I don't have to make that 2-block walk to my job anymore.
What?
Congratulations.
Hey, man, listen.
Did it heat last week or something?
Hey, look, I did a video this morning. I said, you know what, let me do another video. And I did a video walking from the car to the office. And I hit my guy up in New York. I said, hey, man, look at this. I said, this is what I'm doing 2 times a day. And if I happen to want to leave the office for lunch, that means it's 4 times a day. I said, I don't know if you know. I said, I know I'm a little spry, and, I'm a little hip. I'm doing my thing. But I'm actually 55 years old. And walking up these steps, and I know you heard the breathing in the video, it's not healthy. There's no way I'm going to work late because if I come back down these steps, it's like an alley. I said, so, man, I need to get this handled. And he hit me back. He said, hey, man, look for an email. He said, but don't make the spot hot. Don't let everybody know. I said, my man.
Really?
Yeah, so tomorrow I actually get to park, get on the elevator, and go upstairs, man.
How about that?
Woo-wee.
How about
So,
that?
yeah, I told you, man, I had a good week. Had a good week this week, for real, for real. Woo, look at our sister of the show. I can't even call you the daughter of the show because we like, rubbing, elbowing you and stuff. What's happening, baby? How you doing? I ain't gonna tell people what I told you earlier. We just gonna let you do what you do. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Cabin trip's always good, man. Always therapeutic. Always therapeutic. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most cabin trips are gonna come with windy roads.
Yeah.
You're going to the mountains.
Yeah, it can get a little dangerous going up the mountains. Seriously, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
That's why when you get there, you need to know that you need to stay there. Once you get there, don't leave until it's time to leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Daytime is better.
So y'all went up that night? Yeah.
One was one spot and one was the other spot.
See, God is good. Yeah, because you here. Because I know about them trips, man. It ain't no joke. But glad you had a good time with family. Like I said, cabin trips is always a good thing, I've never been on a cab. Let me think. Actually, I have. But since I turned 30, all my cabin trips been great. Before that, it was a little drama. You know how you get drama when you're younger. Somebody find out that somebody else knew that they were doing something that he wasn't supposed to do, and then, yeah, that type of stuff. So, yeah. But since 30, they're always good. Always good. Mr. Ron Godfrey, how you doing, sir?
What's happening, man? Good to be here.
man.
Good to be here.
Houndstooth, that's it. We've been trying to figure out this pattern for a minute. That man sitting up there looking good in this houndstooth. Love it, love it. How was your week, brother?
It was long. It was long.
That's right, you've been traveling.
I've been traveling, also studying for a new movie that I'm getting ready to film next month. I actually just got back today from South Carolina, visiting my mother and my daughter, my sister, and everybody. Everybody's doing good. And,
Hey, people, I don't know if y'all remember, but a couple of shows ago, my man started looking at the show, making comments and everything, and I was talking about, this dude, Ron Godfrey, he's an actor. I mean, he's an actor. You heard what he just said. He's studying for a movie that he's about to film. The movies I've been in, I didn't have to study. I showed up. They told me what to do, and I just went ahead and did it. Uh-oh, got to put this down because they're not paying us.
okay.
Get that down so we get that label off so you put that up there.
Yeah, but when I want something to drink, I got to reach.
I got you. We can get that handle for you, son. But yeah, man, like I said, this man here is an actor, award-winning actor, author. He's been a thespian a couple of times. For those of y'all that don't know, that's when you're acting in plays and theater. I know everybody know what that is.
Right. That's where I started.
No. Hey, man, I'm feeling that pain right now. I'm feeling that pain. So listen, man, Black History Month starts tomorrow. And playoffs went kind of crazy this weekend. But after the games got done, the conference championships got done, we ended up with 2 black quarterbacks that's going to be in the Super Bowl.
With applause for that, Bo. That's applause for that, Bo. Wake up.
Got to have an applause for that one, man. We got 2 black quarterbacks that's actually in the Super Bowl.
No such thing.
You trying to say Mahomes ain't?
Yeah, no such thing as have. Is you is or is you ain't?
My baby. So what you hope is that a move like this will actually get the whole, black quarterbacks are not smart enough to lead a team to a championship thing. Hopefully it'll, put it to the wayside. I'm sure still got a couple of steps to take, but hopefully, we're taking the steps in the right direction by having 2 starting quarterbacks in there. They're young guys too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Patrick Mahomes, you talking about 5 years in the league as a starter, 6 years total, 5 as a starter, 5 straight AFC championship games. As a starter. He's been to 5 straight as a starter, man. That's crazy. And then you talking about this other kid, 3 years. They didn't really want to draft him. He wasn't drafted to be a starting quarterback. And in 2 years, you playing for a Super Bowl. Yeah. And the biggest thing I want to point out to these brothers is you have 2 black quarterbacks who you can look and see, and no disrespect to the mothers, but 2 black fathers that have been integral parts in both of these young men's lives. Because you always see they love to highlight the stories of the guy who made it because his father was in prison or didn't know his father or this and that.
Exactly.
And I just know these stations, it will be a injustice during the Super Bowl. You got 2 weeks of Super Bowl hype. We should know everything about those fathers and how they coached those boys and how they raised those boys and how they had a family unit and all these things the same way we do with the other quarterbacks.
Talking about how the moms mop floors and the moms
all that, man.
Hey, man.
Work 3 jobs and not even mention both of them strong fathers.
Yeah, man. Because you got 2. That's what I'm excited about. Because you can see both those fathers present. They always talk about the impact. They were coaches, kids, especially Jalen Hurts' son, coach. Yeah, man. Yep. And then what Jalen has gone throughout, the benching, but even before that, the kid wasn't really given a chance. And all he's done is take the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl as a second-year starter.
That's awesome.
Man.
Just what he did in college.
Awesome.
And I'm a Dallas fan.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
so you caught my flat when I was talking about Bo, huh? That's why you were looking at me like that, huh?
Yeah, you know what though?
Funny.
But you know what though? But see, you responded in a way that most Dallas Cowboy fans wouldn't have. You took it.
I took it.
You took it.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It's what it's been.
That is what it is.
Do you realize? See, you started something. Do you realize that Jalen Hurts wasn't born the last time y'all won a Super Bowl?
Okay, we can get off it now. Let's go on.
So let's move on.
I don't want to say that for a minute, but okay, I got that out.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, man, you're right about that, man. They always like to highlight quarterbacks that's coaches' sons. But let's face it, usually it's the white quarterback that his dad was the coach. But now you have Jalen Hurts here where his dad actually coached him. And like I said, there's no mention right now. I think I've seen, 3 pictures maybe of Jalen Hurts and his dad up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The kid is so humble. I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan Clark was the only one I heard mention it the other day. Ryan Clark did bring it up, that he was a coach's kid. Stephen A. kind of piggyback off of that, but I ain't seen nowhere else. And it's a shame and a disgrace.
And plus, the professionalism he always showed. His dad
Okay.
did a good job because you got to look at it. If it would have been anybody else, you lead a team to a national championship and then you're benched the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Right. National championship quarterback bench, and nobody said anything.
that's right.
And from there, he just went on and did bigger things at Oklahoma. So you got to say. But I'll be honest with you, I'm a Philly fan, and I really didn't think he was going to become the quarterback he was. So I wanted him to go for Watson.
I mean, a lot of people did, you know what I mean? But, like you said, he was national championship, but the other caveat is that if you look at his draft class and the class before and the class after, how they've hyped up all those quarterbacks in these classes.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Even Tua. I mean, he's supposed to be the second coming. And, all these quarterbacks, they hyped up. And you never really hear him hype. And he looking down at all of them in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
For the Eagles.
Mic check real quick. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but that's the part I hope they focus on. Plus, the way he's carried himself to adversity, he could have dogged out Alabama. He didn't. He went to Oklahoma, did bit.
Oh, no, he's maintained professionalism in everything.
Hey, bro.
The whole time.
And everything.
When it was easy,
Even-
so I told you so.
Yeah.
Even on a podium, when they was trying to talk about his journey, he said, "Man, forget that, man." He said, "It's about these fans."
Yeah.
He said, "It's about this team coming together." He is one of the most humblest kids.
100%.
I mean, dude, here it is. He's in his his 3rd year.
It's 3rd year.
So now next year he's due for a contract negotiation extension.
Correct.
You have not heard anything come from his camp about that, and I guarantee it's because he doesn't want it to come out.
Focus on that.
That's humility.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah, man.
humility.
yeah, bro. Sometimes you need that, and the thing is, he's had it. He had it even before. I think he had it before the Alabama thing because he got benched in the championship game. Then the next year, he rode the bench, and then he transferred. And like I said, he could have left and said a whole bunch of things because he ended up being a Heisman Trophy finalist.
He
You know what I'm
actually
saying?
stuck around
And
see
put
if
them in
he
the
could get a
playoffs.
shot.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Nah, it's been impressive, man. So, and yes, number one fan, she made sure we point this out. She picked the Chiefs versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl probably 15 weeks ago.
And when we had our show, I picked my team. the Eagles.
You picked your team, but she picked both teams. So,
I know. I
we're going
had
to shout
no
her out because she made sure. But she did do it. We can't deny it. Copy that. Want to go? Where we going? Want to go to early break and just jump in?
yeah. So listen, y'all. We go. Like I said, this is going to be an emotionally packed show. So we're going to take this break, and we come back and get yourselves ready. And again, we want you to be a part of the conversation. Make sure you give us a call, and make sure you hit those buttons: the love button, the like button, the hug button, the smile button. I think it's a laugh button. You can even hit the unlike button if you want to, because it's going to help our
Algorithm.
go up. So we'll be right back. Give us 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Give us
2
5 minutes. We put the 10-minute thing up. We maybe say 10 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Yeah. We'll be right back.
Hello.
Classic.
Hello.
Say hello.
Oh, no, I didn't know you were trying to chime in at all. You're right. Just load everything to open it, right?
She's trying to
Oh, yeah.
good thing you're doing.
Appreciate you, man.
That's a good thing you're doing, man. I appreciate you. And I wanted to ask you, my original...
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
And if you wonder about the spell I'm under.
Don't laugh.
Okay.
The Beatles.
And the gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Yeah. Name one Dolly Parton song, line ass.
You know why he like Dolly Parton?
You would think that I could deserve a better promotion.
Elton John.
Charlie Daniels.
That one down in Georgia.
Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the red pen picking out dough.
That went down to Georgia. I was looking for a soda still.
All right, y'all, we are back. It is Classic Konversations with Jae Tea and Lo. Again, I want you to be a part of this conversation. Please give us a telephone call, 404-500-1605. Good over there, everybody?
Will's never learned to whisper.
Just make sure y'all's good, you know. But yes, please give us a call, man. 404-500-1605. Again, hit those buttons, the like button, the love button, the hug button. Hit them because it is going to help our
Algorithm.
go up and up and up because, you know, we're on Spotify now, y'all, so we need these things to keep going up and up and up, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I
let's
forgot
get
to
this
talk
thing
about my
going.
shirt too, man.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about it later. I just want to make sure I saw my shirt. I wasn't supposed to wear this shirt, but again, it's just early, but I had to wear it again. We'll post it later.
Yeah, I mean, so,
That's on the next show, next episode.
you know what? I think I'm going to wear my shirt to work. See how that
Oh man,
Oh, boy.
See how that works.
She gonna call 10 minutes
that'd be
later.
crazy.
She gonna be on live.
I'm gonna have to check that out. See how some of these young folks feel about that. I'm gonna have to wear that shirt to work. So, okay, so here we go, man. All right, first topic we're gonna get into is in regards to losing a loved one. You know, when you've lost a loved one, which pretty much everyone has, you know, how did it affect you? How was you able to deal with it? And if you had friends that lost a loved one, how did you find yourself trying to be there to comfort that person? You know, were you saying things? Were you just like sitting back, letting them come to you? You know, somebody chime in on this. Anybody? What? You know, how did you deal with it? You know, when you're losing someone.
I don't know how to.
yours is fresh.
No, I'm saying for someone else.
Oh.
I don't really know how to be there. I really don't. I feel like everything is cliche. There's no right way.
Facts.
So I just let them know I'm here, but I suck at it. I don't even know if I'm good at it. Like, I don't know if I'm being a good friend when my people lose a loved one.
Well, like you said, there is no correct way. There's no book on it. In regards to helping someone else grieve. Because you don't know how they grieve. So, you like you said, you just have to just be there for them. So actually, you're not sucking at it. You're doing pretty good if you're just being there for them. I can't nobody blame you for that, especially if you don't know what to say. It's probably, like you said, best not to say anything and just let them, come to you. And then when they come, you almost need to just be an ear, instead of a voice box, So, since you started it off, how have you dealt with loss?
I've actually dealt with it great. The death of my father, it was a rebirth. It was either gonna make me or it was gonna break me.
Okay.
And it actually made me. I experienced a lot those 8 days that I lived in that hospital, and the journey was actually amazing for me. There were things that he gave me that I really needed all of my life.
Wow.
Before he left here. Only he could do it. I think that I had healed enough to receive it. And so I'm at peace. I thought it was going to come. I was actually waiting for it because I'm like, it's going to come hard, but it just hasn't. I'm really at peace. I miss him, of course, but he had to go. He couldn't stay. But it's what he left me that made all the difference.
Interesting.
That's deep. It was like a relationship type.
It was a language.
Distance.
Even the night nurses would say, y'all are great together. Like, you have this language. And at this time, he could no longer talk. So it was all actions. Actually, that's what I've been searching for.
Wow.
In the opposite sex, actions.
Oh, that is really deep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So it changed my life. It changed my outlook on life. It changed my outlook on how I view myself, how I feel about myself. Yeah.
Wow, no words. That's deep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. Ask a cop.
Yeah. Well, I think I've dealt with loss. I mean, I've had family members that I love, like my grandfather. When he passed, but he was sick, so it's more of a happy thing. My grandmother passed. It was a happy thing because she was 112 and she had fell off right then, like 6 months before she left. That's when she started clocking out. So that was a good thing. I think my biggest losses has been two of my good friends, Mustafa Amarula and Mike Giuliano. And they're both really, really close friends. And I think the hardest thing to deal with was when you do so much with somebody and they're not there. And then, you see as a dude, you can't, but it's like, dude, that's somebody I ate breakfast with every day of every week for years at a time. We were policing together and different things. And Mustafa was a childhood friend and would know the family. So I think it was hard. So, but I think it's easy to deal with because then what I did was try to help the family. And I've had friends that's lost their mothers. I've been blessed so far. I had scares recently, but I've been blessed. And so I think what I try to do is I'm the exact opposite. I'm in their face. I just listen, but I try to do everything that they got to do. If they got to do some funeral arrangement stuff and need help, or run this to get this, get the tables, the food for the repast, things like that. So I try to be actively involved with how I would want somebody to help me with. That's all I got.
Let me ask you, does it push you towards reaching out and talking to people more once you lose a loved one?
Yes. Family is become really important, really important. It's pushed me to lose some people too because of my new outlook. So
Girl, you coming with some gems tonight.
Some people as well. Like, my attitude is just different, And then they gave him hours or a few days. He lived 8, so he left me with some fight. I watched him fight, and then I asked him for his last breath. Don't wait, because they was preparing me. They wait till you get on the expressway, go to the bathroom. Like, listen, I'm here. Don't do me like that. I left the room for about 30 minutes, and as soon as I walked in, he heard my voice. He opened his eyes and took his last 2 breaths. What more can you ask for?
Wow.
it's brought me closer to the ones that matter, and it's let me know that the ones that don't matter, what you holding on to. Life is too short. There's millions of people out here.
That's powerful.
With me, it was a little bit different. I think with me, when I lost my friends, because nobody really, when you lose your mom or somebody like that, everybody wants to say, okay, cool. But I have friends, but people didn't know who my best friend was. So he passed, it was like, damn. You know, because nobody's saying, asking you or consoling you. They might say, hey, boy, oh, my bad, man. Shit, man. So I think what it did was made me appreciate the friends I had left more. Definitely appreciate those friends, man. And learn how to better express it, because I know with Mike Giuliano, we had talked about doing an Argentine dove hunt for years. Either I put it off or he put it off, and then all of a sudden the person's no longer there. And that's in my bucket list to do it for him before I kick off. So little things like that, it makes you do them now versus waiting.
Hey, real quick, I had about 3 different messages say the volume is low. So I don't know if it's particular mics or whatnot. Maybe their mics. Maybe turn her mic up because she's been wanting talking. So maybe turn the mics up. And while we're doing that, Marie message Kiki said, I don't say anything. I just pull up and sit there. It's no words that would soothe the feeling. So every time they look up, I'm going to be right there. Or Lena said, having a heart. She said, couldn't understand the volume either. But sometimes not necessarily always talk, just be there for support.
Yeah, just have somebody else say the mic's low.
What's
up, Vic? Darren Bell, how you doing, brother? Got some people watching there. Hey, man, give us a telephone call. Talk about this subject, 404-500-1605. Me, I'll go ahead and get on this.
Okay.
With family members, I found myself I felt like I had to be the guy that everybody could lean on. And I wondered, I think of my grandmother when she passed. I actually still have the voicemail that my aunt called and told me, and I never checked it. I still have it. There's still a new voicemail in my thing. But after it happened, I kind of took on her what my grandmother was, strong and moving forward. And, everybody was ready to go to North Carolina off the rip and, start arrangements and everything. I said, nope, I'm going back to work. I'll come down later. And it never hit me. It didn't hit me. At the funeral, I kind of teared up a little bit, but I felt I had to be strong for my mother, for my sister, and all those people. And I'll never forget it. It was a Sunday morning. I was actually getting ready to come play flag football. And I was looking at an episode of Law and Order, of course. And it wasn't nothing really an emotional scene, but somebody cried. It was SVU, so somebody cried about being raped, and I could not stop crying. This was 2-3 months later.
Really?
I could not stop crying. I was laughing and crying at the same time. I called my cousin. She was like, yeah, you grieving right now. And I'm like, how can I be grieving? I'm laughing. What are you talking about? I got to go play flag football. We got an important game today. I can't cry. I just been crying. It was and I think that even a good friend of mine passed away. He was murdered down in South Georgia. Same thing. It didn't hit me until later, and this was somebody that I wasn't in contact with a lot, but still it hit me later. He was the best man at my wedding, my first marriage. It hit me later. I think I'm one of those that grieves later. I feel like I need to be strong for the people around me. Now, in regards to for other people, you never know what to say. I'm a believer in prayer, so I pray. I pray for comfort because it can be an agonizing thing to go back and forth, worried about what you should have done, what you could have done, because I did that with my grandmother. I actually had thought about going to North Carolina to see her, and I decided not to. A week later, she passed. So it can be an agonizing thing from that. So, you know, I try and pray for comfort within the hearts of people that's going through it, because, you know, we all will take some guilt, and, you know, when somebody passes away, we take a little guilt saying that we could have said more, we could have done more, you know, that type of deal. So, you know, that's the way I've dealt. That's the way I've dealt with it, and I think that's the way I'll deal with it going forward, type of deal. Mr. Godfrey, you know, we've known each other through Facebook and through the Atlanta entertainment scene. I think we met first time at ATL's Hottest about 3 years ago, something like that.
Yep.
And, you know, I started really following what you're doing and everything, and then the thing happened, you know, because you've lost someone recently. And the way you dealt with it, at least out in public, I thought was crazily strong, because I haven't come close to. I'm gonna let you go ahead and explain, you know, who you lost and everything and how you dealt with it.
Well, I recently lost my 6-year-old son, November the 1st, to brain cancer. He was diagnosed in January of 2022. And the type of tumor that he had was a rare tumor. It's called diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or DIPG. And in my research, I found that this tumor, the lifespan after diagnosis is anywhere between 6 to 11 months. And again, he was diagnosed in January, and he passed on November the 1st. Wow. And I remember being in Ohio. I was working in Ohio, and I got a call from his mother, and she put the hospice nurse on the phone. And the nurse asked me, "When was the last time you seen your son?" And at that time I said, "It's been a couple of weeks, because I've been on the road." She said, "Well, he's declining very fast. So if you want to see your son, you might want to get home." I was there the next day. And long story short, on October the 29th, I received an award, Actor of the Year award, at the Black I Am Awards. And on the plaque, underneath my name in the award, was his name, the Jeremiah Godfrey Legacy Award. And the next day I got back to him and I showed him the award. And 2 days later, he passed.
Wow.
I was sitting at the foot of his bed. And I mind you, I'm a praying man. And I prayed one of the hardest, unselfish prayers I think a parent would ever have to pray over their child. And I told God, I said, "You know, Lord, I've seen you work. I've read about your miracles and everything, so I know you're able to turn this around if it's your will." And I said, "Lord, if it is your will, please restore him. But if it's not," I said, "Lord, take him. Because I don't want him to be here and suffer, be confined to a wheelchair or to a bed." And the day he passed, I was sitting at the foot of his bed, and I watched him as he took
Time, brother.
I watched him as he took his last few breaths. And after each breath, I kept saying, "Lord, I trust you. I trust you." And when he took his last breath, I dropped my head and I said, "Lord, I still trust you." And from that point on, my grieving process has been up and down because I had to deal with some other stuff in between. So there's been times when I would get to myself and I would cry and, and yell out. But each time I go back to South Carolina, when I get into the city, I go by his grave. When I leave, I go by his grave. And it has actually pushed me to want to do more, especially in his memory. And, I've had people, you have people that say, I'm here for you, and, if you need anything, I'm here and everything like that, family, friends, the whole nine. But to be honest, my journey through this has been a little lonely. Been a little lonely. But with God's help, I'm making it through.
So let me just chime in. Because we talked briefly before, and, everyone kind of has experienced death in different shape, forms, and fashion, right? People have lost, brothers, sisters, parents. Because I am in this same fraternity that you're in, I would attest that there is no loss greater than the one of your child. The natural order of things is you live, you get older, at some point you pass away, and typically your kids are the ones who bury you, right? Mm-hmm. That's the natural order of things.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's unnatural. To me, it's the most unnatural thing on God's green earth to bury your child. Mm-hmm. It's just not natural. It's just not the order of things. And my child was also 6 years old. And I'm probably like you could, from the moment that I got the phone call to the moment I made it to the hospital, it's probably the only one of the few days in my life that I can recall every single thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Every single thing that happened from the moment I woke up to the moment I finally laid down. I remember everything about that day because that was the most traumatic day of my life.
Right.
So this is about you today, but I just want to just chime in on that because when people talk about death and the things you say and the healing, there's a lot of things you can say to other people if you've experienced it. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say something to somebody when you haven't experienced that same pain. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's hard for you to tell me, and I remember, Robbie said at one of the things, she said, I don't want, this was a little thing we had after the funeral, she said, I don't want another person to come to me and tell me, how I feel unless you can step in my shoes. And I felt on that jump because don't come tell me, man, I know how you feel. What?
Right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, and you don't want to know. It's the most unnatural thing on God's green earth, and there is nothing you can say. Being there, I remember all the people that were there. Don't remember half the conversations.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the people that were there.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too. Yeah.
I remember all the people that were there and the people that kept coming. Mm-hmm. And naturally, they become fewer and fewer and fewer, until you sit there all alone.
And you were saying something. You were saying something that you remember everything that happened that day.
Yeah.
That day that my son passed, 4 hours earlier, I had went to pick out his burial plot. My cousin he's the caretaker of the cemetery. And he met me down there around 12 o'clock, noon, the same day. I had no idea
Right.
that 5 hours later, I would be saying goodbye to my son.
Right. 100%. You know, it's one of those things, man, I tell people, you know, we could hold grudges and all that BS, you know, but one of the greatest things I have, and one of the things that I always do with my kids, is I never leave my house, not one time in their entire lives have I left my house without saying, I'm gone, I love you. Not a day in my life. You know what I mean? And my son left, my son was killed in a car accident. So it was sudden, you know what I mean? But I just remember we just had a football game, and I was coaching him back in the day too, you know what I mean? And we lost the game, and I remember, you know, we had a picture. He was so sad that day in that picture. And I keep that picture in my house in a plaque, and I keep another picture with him with a smile face, just to remember the reflection of how precious life is. Because we were both upset about the loss. I think he was more upset because he felt like he disappointed Dad. But what I did that night was say, son, it's over with, and I love you. Not knowing, less than 8 hours later, he was gone. You know, so people don't have relationships with their kids, man. You got to fix that junk, 'cause
That's crazy.
it's too precious, man. It's too precious.
And my son, he was, like I said, he was confined to a wheelchair for a long time before he passed, but he still wanted to do things like go to Dave & Buster's, and all kind of stuff, and so I took him.
Absolutely.
And he would get to a game. I asked him, you know, what game you want to play, and he'd point one out, and he would actually try to stand up at the game to play it. And I never told him he couldn't. I never told him that, you know. And if I would try to help, if I would try to help him, he said, "No, I got it. I got it." And he did. He was resilient, and watching him be resilient is actually what's pushing me now. You know, and I have to say this. I have to say this. I have to give respect to his mother, because he lived with her. You know, they bought, you know, when he went under hospice care, they bought everything to her house. You know, so I have to give her respect
100%.
as his mother, because she did her job. You know, and I respect her for that. You know, and I thank her for that, and I thanked her. You know, she told me, she said, I would do it again if I had to. And I said, I know. You know, and I agree with what you're saying. Love on your children. Like, you know, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she and my son Jeremiah were tight, very tight. You know, so now I have to pour a double portion of love on her, because it's almost like I'm filling in the gap for him. You know, which, you know, I'm going to love on her anyway. That's my daughter. But still, you know, you almost don't know what to say sometimes, you know?
No, you don't. You don't. Hey, we'll be right back. put some White Snake or Charlie Daniels on next week's top 5 flashbacks. Top 5 country and or rock. I'll let you combine this one.
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
And if you wonder about the spell I'm under.
Don't laugh.
Okay.
The Beatles.
And the gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Yeah. Name one Dolly Parton song line ass.
You know why he like Dolly Parton?
You would think that I would deserve a better promotion.
Elton John.
I'm still standing better than I ever did.
Charlie Daniels.
That one down in Georgia.
Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the red pan picking out dough.
That went down to Georgia. I was looking for a soda still.
Hey, yo, what's happening, man? We are back. Woo. Classic Conversations. Hey,
Yeah, we live. If y'all didn't know, are we still live?
let me tell
Yeah,
y'all
we
something.
still live.
Let me tell y'all something. This shows you, man. Classic Conversations happens in real time. It ain't no tape delay. And we can't beat nothing out somebody say. You can't take somebody's voice out when they just burst in and holler out names as you just heard. And we also can't stop people from walking in front of the camera. So yeah,
Hey, man, I'm just glad Phoenix was sitting down when he just did that because the look on her face was like I karate chop. Hey, the look on her face was so serious.
hey, he still might. He got to go home with her tonight and go to sleep.
I'm talking about T-Ray jumping and yelling at him.
I'm talking about you time. All right, so yeah, man, Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
Top 5.
So yeah, man, we are back. Like I said, shoot, man, I just called my child during the break, and he actually answered the phone. And my son hardly ever answers the phone. So yeah, man, this was pretty powerful here tonight. But we're gonna keep going with this. We're gonna talk about some of the things that Ron is doing in light of the death of his son, what he's doing to help keep others from kind of going through some of this same type of stuff. So go ahead and talk about your foundation and everything, and then we're gonna get into more the actual disease, the sickness, and everything.
Okay. I started the Jeremiah L. Godfrey Brain Cancer Research Foundation. We launched it a few weeks ago, actually. And what we want to do is, it's my objective to help researchers find a cure for this tumor, because to date there is no cure. There's no known cure. I'll put it like that. There's no known cure. So it's my objective to take it as far as I can to get the help to the researchers, and hopefully they'll find something, or release something that will help this tumor. Mm-hmm.
So, with that, what made you, after this happened, want to? Because everybody talks about helping people and that type of deal, but you actually, you was talking about earlier, you actually took action. Mm-hmm. Some people say, well, we should do this, we should do that, but you actually took action. What spurred you to do that? Was it the memory of him? Is it what you said earlier, how it just made you want to do more?
Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of everything. The memory of him, and then once I did my research, and what really also sparked it was a lady on my Facebook page. She had posted a picture of the grandson of a friend of hers. He was only 3 years old, and he had passed away with the same tumor. Wow. And so that just put more fire up under me. And when I did my research, and I found that, first of all, there's no cure, there's nothing, only like radiation, and they have trial drugs that they use. My son went through 30 treatments of radiation, and it shrunk the tumor, but it only lasts for a while, maybe 3 or 4 months, and then it shows progression again, and at that point there's nothing else to be done. He later had to have a shunt put into his head to drain the fluid that was building up around his brain. Yeah. And so in my research, I found that this tumor, when it grows, it comes in already inoperable, because it grows in on the brain stem. So you can't, it's already inoperable, so it's, I hate to put it like this, but a child is already doomed from the start. And I found that 300 to 400 children each year are diagnosed with this tumor. Wow. 300 to 400 kids. So in my mind, I don't want another parent to have to go through what me and his mother went through, because that's a hurtful thing. And it has no symptoms. My brother here was asking me during the break, was there any warning signs? There's no warning signs. No, he didn't complain about no headaches or nothing. No headaches or nothing. What happened is, the way we knew something was wrong is when it took full effect.
Wow.
His entire right side had went limp, as if he had had a stroke.
How old was he at the time?
He was 5. He was 5, and then his speech started to go. His speech slurred and everything like that. And then once he had the radiation, he was able to, walk with assistance. He did well. His talking started to improve, but then all of a sudden, when the tumor started to show progression again, it started going back downhill, And so I want to help these researchers find a cure. And I have a team on the board. What should I say? I have a board, and it's really, I'm really geared up to helping these people find a cure, because I don't want another family to go through this, and I want to take it as far as I can go. If I have to go to the walls, within the walls of Congress, I want to go before Congress and say, listen, we've got to do something for our children. We can't wait till it's one of your kids.
Right.
Because that seems to be when things happen, when action is taken.
I have a question. So talking to the doctor, since it's something when they get it, it's a death sentence. So have they been able to narrow down, or maybe it's genetic, or is it something in the environment, something they consume? Is there like when they look at all the 400 cases a year over the last 10 years, were they able to narrow down some commonalities between all the children that were affected?
Not to my knowledge. And that's why they call it rare, because it's not something that happens all the time, but still you have 300 to 400 children being affected by it each year. That's a lot of kids, and just so happened, mine was one of them.
So let me ask you a question. For your son, when he was diagnosed and things started going down in terms of losing his right arm and the speech and all that, what conversations were you having with him? How did you comfort him, and or how did he comfort you all?
Let me tell you something. My son, he actually performed as if nothing was wrong. He didn't even want to he didn't want it to be said that, something was wrong, he had a problem. He said, I'm just a little sick. His mother and I both encouraged him, we performed with him as if nothing was wrong with him so that he would stay up, and actually he kept us up by seeing him. He's still trying to run and still trying to do things normal 5-6-year-old children do. Like I said earlier, he still wanted to go to Dave & Buster's. He still wanted to try to go outside, and everything. It's like he didn't lose his will to do anything.
Right.
He kept going.
And that was for y'all.
Yeah.
That was for y'all. That wasn't for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's pushed me even today, because I remember that. I still have videos of he and I out in the backyard playing football. And it of course it makes me tear up, but it also gives me strength at the same time.
Sure.
And I promised him that I was going to do this for him, make his name live on. I want to save another child in the memory of my son. And it's not a publicity stunt, it's nothing like that. I want to save these children, because there's more children out there with the same thing right now and don't even know they have it. The parents don't even know they have it, because we didn't know.
And there's no tests that they're going to...
The only test that's performed is when something happens. And then, we found a tumor, and it forms already malignant.
I have another question, and if it's too personal, just say so. But I know when they gave you that date, did you kind of like you and your wife get together and shut down and make it where we just gonna let him, let him experience things and do things? Because when it got to the point where there's no more chemo, you got your date, did you kind of get out there with him more, just fun stuff?
Well, again, he lived with his mom, because we're not married anymore. But she kept in contact with me. The last thing he did was he went to a fair. She took him. She sent me video and pictures and everything like that. Got his face painted, the whole nine. He even at that point, he still wanted to be a kid.
So he never gave up.
He never gave up.
That's good.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I was told that he had a conversation with his 14-year-old sister. His sister asked him, said, "Do you talk to God?" And she said his voice came clear just for that little bit of conversation. And he told, "I talk to him all the time." He told his sister that he already knew what heaven looked like. He wasn't afraid to go. He said, "I'm just sad because I have to leave y'all." 6 years old. What can you do with that?
Right.
And what gave me sweet relief is knowing that when he closed his eyes, heaven was his home automatically. He's still pure, without sin.
And pain.
No sin or pain. He's up there running around with God somewhere. And so, that's one of the things that keeps me going. I miss him, but I know he's in a better place.
And kudos to you too, brother, because you celebrate him. I think I've seen you win 2 awards last year, and I know you won more, but I've seen you win 2, and you made sure to accept it in his name and to make sure that he knew that y'all had won another one.
I did that because, again, he was diagnosed in January of 2022, and throughout that time, I was doing films and all kind of stuff. And I remember I promised my children, I said, I'm going to make y'all rich. And in my mind, I'm saying I still have to keep that promise, you know. And so when I won those awards, I had to say, this is for my son. I had to, because he was my fire that pushed me to get out there and recite those lines and give the best performance I could.
So tell us about the book. How'd it come about?
The book, Crying Out in the Dark. The book has been released now for 2 years, and it's still selling. It's doing well. I talk about my accounts of having, should I say, different events that happened in my life to cause depression. Depression is something that we as men, especially black men, are not quick to talk about. But I get very candid in my book, and I mean very graphic. And I tell people that purchase the book, you're gonna experience 3 emotions. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna get sad, you're gonna get mad, because there's some things in there that I uncover that you look at me now, you be like, my God, you know. So yeah, and I'm working on book 2.
So you talk about depression in the book,
Right.
and did it help you? What helped you avoid, or did you go through depression after the death of your son?
I went through a light depression.
Okay.
I went through a light depression. It wasn't as heavy as it was in the past, but I did go through a light depression. I did. I probably shut down for a good week or 2, you know. Even my manager, she put out a statement like, in other words, leave Ron alone for a while, you know, because, you know, what he's going through, you know, give me and the family, you know, privacy and respect and everything like that because of what was going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, man, you know, the story is powerful in so many different ways, but to have the strength to keep going is the testimony, you know. That's the testimony. And you know, God blessing you with another child, which is, you know, I remember when I lost my son, I never even considered wanting kids again. I was like, I never want to take the chance of going through that pain again, you know what I mean? And for years, man, we were afraid at the 6-year mark for all my kids. We were scared. I don't know what it, you know, just that trying to heal process. You know what I mean? It's like, well, they make it to 6. Then we just, you know, we were very protective.
Right.
extremely protective. You know what I mean? Sometimes I call a little problem with my mom and wife. I done raised all these kids. She wasn't hearing that, John. I don't care. These mine. Yeah, man. But you know, you have your faith, which is tested. I got you, Ben. Which is tested tremendously. Tremendously. You know. But you know, for me personally, being blessed with you know 3 more boys, you know what I mean, it's been but still, you know, not a day goes by, and it's crazy. I lost my son in 1999. Yeah, 1999. And still not a day goes by where he's not on my mind at some point of the day. You know, so that old theory of, you've heard people say, time heals. No, time don't heal that. Only thing time does is give you the ability to adapt and cope.
Right.
It don't heal it.
Right.
That wound is forever. You know what I mean? But it gives you the ability to adapt, move forward. You know what I mean? You don't have to cry every day anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have to cry every day anymore, but it's still like I said, it's just a feeling, man, that you just don't wish that on anybody.
No, sir.
You don't wish that on anybody.
No, sir.
You know what I mean? That's just different, man. So, I commend you for what you're doing, and you know what I mean, and to keep pushing in your son's memory.
It actually drew me closer to my other children. I have 3 older children, as well as my baby girl. I have a 34-year-old, 25, and 20.
Okay.
My oldest is John. My 25 is Ron Jr., and my 20-year-old is Jada. And of course, my 4-year-old is Harmony.
You said you got a 34-year-old? That's what you just said.
I was gonna let him finish. I was gonna let him finish, and then I was
You continue on, let me finish. Don't you start now. Don't start. See, it's time to go to break yet.
boy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That black man don't be looking good, boy. What y'all talking about?
Sitting up there at hounds too.
Yes.
Black don't crack.
Hey man,
I'm 52.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's all right there, man.
Right, man. I commend both of you brothers, man, because Angelo, I remember when I didn't know when I joined. What were we then? Rage changing in the Shockwave.
Yeah.
And we used to have them team meetings, and I saw the picture. I was looking at the picture. I'm like, that low? And somebody said, no, man, that's Angelo's son. And told me the story. And I was like, dude, you would never know. To be able to go through something like that and still be able to carry. Because, again, I can't relate to that pain. I don't know if, looking at y'all, I know I could, but if, I don't want nothing like that to happen, but you have to be able to see something like that to believe that you can actually get through it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so I commend both of you guys, man, because
What it told me, JT, was, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to tell y'all live on air. If anybody ever says, at this day in my day in life, that Angelo committed suicide, y'all better investigate a murder. Because if that didn't kill me, I be doggone. If I didn't kill myself then, boy, ain't nothing else can break me, brother.
Right.
I don't care how bad it is.
Right.
If that didn't break me, cause I'm gonna tell you, I didn't care about life, man. It took me a minute. I didn't care about, after my son was, I didn't care about Jack, man. I really didn't. I didn't care if I live or die. Nothing else, nothing mattered to me at that point. Nothing mattered to me, because I didn't have no other kids. That was it at the time, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I care now. So, if I didn't do it then, y'all better investigate.
Yeah.
Somebody killed you, boy.
And as far as the depression, you talked about it. Do you know of any programs that are available to African Americans or Americans in general dealing with depression, but especially in our communities? It's not often dealt with.
No, it's not often dealt with, and so there is. They got a national helpline out. I don't know anybody in our community, per se, but they have national helplines out there. And the thing about it is, it's not something that you have to be ashamed of. I fought against getting counseling forever, and I just started counseling 2 weeks ago. And I don't feel ashamed about it. It was a pride thing. And I'm saying it here live on air. It was a pride thing, but I had to swallow my pride and realize I needed help. So my thing is, to anybody that's going through depression, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, believe me, we talk about it on this show a lot. And the thing with depression is nobody feels that they can be depressed. You know, a lot of people feel, you know, no, I'm not depressed, man. I'm doing good. Not realizing that you can actually be depressed and still laugh and smile, tell jokes, go to work every day, excel, and still have those moments where you're just sunken in a deepest place that you just don't feel. But then automatically, subconsciously, you wake up the next day and you go back through the cycle. Because again, you know, people just don't feel that they're depressed. Again, it could be a pride thing.
Right.
Just could be being ashamed to say it. I think people would rather say now, I'm stressed, rather than say I'm depressed. You know, they'd
Right.
rather say I'm stressed because they feel that being stressed is more acceptable, and depression is, you know, black community, especially with black men, you know, mental health is like a weakness. So depression, I think, in our community, actually, people think it's even a bigger weakness than mental health issues, even though it's pretty much the same thing. But the word depression just, especially somebody that's actually looks like they have everything going. I mean, they look like everything is okay, so no way are they going to run around, you know, up and say, I'm depressed. And I think that's where a lot of the problem lies in, is that people won't seek help for depression because they won't actually admit that they actually are depressed.
Or sometimes I think that maybe they don't know the difference between the two. Because I know that I feel like I'm on a different platform where I can suggest it because I'm in it. And I normalize it. You know, when I was in therapy last week, my therapist said, so my close people know, like, oh, damn, she in therapy. And it's not a bad thing for them. It's like, damn, she getting help. So I might turn around and say, you know, you might want to try it because it's really helping me. They're more apt to listen to me now because they know I can relate to it. I can speak on something I'm doing, not something where they feel like, girl, I ain't crazy. What you trying to say? Because I'm not doing it. So it's kind of working now, more so. And I mean, I ain't believing it either. So before, I wouldn't have even suggested it because my theory on it was different. You know, it's going to take this person 150 years to get to know who I really am because I only get an hour. They got the poker face. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
So,
All right, y'all, listen, this bell is about to go off, and our producer's going to be really angry at us if it does go off, and she have to turn it down like she did earlier. So listen, we'll take another break. Give us 3 minutes. We're going to come back, and we're going to get into the meat of this thing here tonight. I know that's what everybody waiting on. We're going to talk about this this beating that happened up in Memphis. We'll be right back.
Brent, what's up, brother? White Snake or Charlie Daniels on next week's Top 5 Flashbacks. Top 5 country and or rock. I'll let you combine this one.
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
And if you wonder about the spell I'm under.
Don't laugh.
Okay.
The Beatles.
And the gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Yeah. Name one Dolly Parton song line ass.
You know why he like Dolly Parton?
You would think that I would deserve a better promotion.
Elton John.
Charlie Daniels.
That one down in Georgia.
Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the red pan picking out dough.
That went down to Georgia. I was looking for a soda still.
Classic Konversations with Jae Tea and Lo. And yeah, we back, man. You know, people, there's a lot of people on this thing. I'm looking at y'all watching. Y'all not calling in. Don't be scared. Call in and talk about this thing. But now, you can comment about it now because we about to go on to the next subject.
Top 5 country and or rock.
Mike said, ow.
Tim McGraw.
You know what's coming.
All right. I'm saying his name. Tyree. Okay. Tyree Nichols.
The Beatles.
And the gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Like I said, I don't even know where to start with it.
Name one Dolly Parton song
You know,
line
there's the
ass.
obvious things that you can talk about. I saw a thing about things a little off kilter. Say something that, let's face it, as black men, we were already on edge
Georgia.
in regards to
Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the red pan picking out dough.
most of us. I would say 85% of us actually felt that if we got pulled over, we saw a black cop coming to the car, we actually felt a little at ease. But now with this most recent tragedy that just happened, you know, how does that mess with your stress levels? Does it go up somebody that looks like you in the blue uniform could actually be of harm to you also. Go ahead.
I just feel like if I were
Hold on one
I
second.
don't trust none of them.
Hey y'all, the commercial is still playing in the background. They could hear the commercial in the background. Will, you supposed to be the improved version of this thing. What's going on?
Is the background still up?
Oh, wow.
Is it still going?
Nah. They heard it out.
So, I mean, and I think I
Was I hurt? Yeah, you hurt.
Yeah,
You hurt.
so I fully understand how you feel, and that's how a lot of African Americans feel. And as a retired police officer, when you look at that, it's unexcusable. There's no way you can justify it. There was so much wrong in that picture that laymen wouldn't even know about. But that was just, it wasn't a police act. In fact, if you listen to them talking, you thought they were shooting a rap video. That's how ghetto it was. Not saying all rap videos are ghetto, but just saying that they
Just
were
most
like
of them.
straight hood. And I think I was shocked and I was dismayed. The training that's put in place, they violated so much of basic training in law enforcement. First of all, the initial stop wasn't even captured on body cam. And anytime you're involved in law enforcement, it's the thing that makes it special is that everybody's supposed to do it the same way across the country when it comes to the aspeton, when it comes to the taser, and it comes to the body cam, because those companies actually put out training, and it's called train the trainer. They bring all trainers in, and then those trainers go back to their departments and teach them. And they're so far off on, it would take 4 hours to talk about everything they did wrong, but I just witnessed. The main thing I'll talk about is the body cam. The body cam should have been actuated and hold out on radio. That's why there's so much rumors going around on the internet, because as soon as they pulled that young man over, they're supposed to come across radio and tap on their body cam, because at that point they were making a stop, a citizen, whatever they're going to call it, was a murder, getting ready to commit a murder. But all that should have been captured on tape, and it wouldn't be that much guessing as to what happened. Now, when they went to another location they're chasing, and that's when they decided, okay, let me actuate my camera now, because he clearly hits it, and then you start hearing audio and picking up. That never should have happened. So with that, in the city of Atlanta, that's a terminating offense, because you had a police act take place, you didn't hit your body cam, violence was also on it, and you didn't hit your body cam. Not to mention poor technique. There's so many things they did wrong. So there's no way to justify that. It's not one of those situations, because normally I'll sit down and try to explain what really happened. But from start to finish, that was trash. That was a criminal act from start to finish. And it was a gang mentality. They were bragging on it. The guy goes back, says, kick him in the head, and the dumbass is walking away. Yeah, if you listen to all it, because I listened to the whole thing. He walked away, then he came back and hit the young man, kicked the man in the head. The other guy with the aspeton, he couldn't get a good swing, so he literally physically moved an officer out of the way to get a swing, and that wouldn't get enough for him, so he went to the other side, and then he came down across him. There's nothing else I can say about that.
Hey man, but listen, I think you're gonna have your first show where no one is gonna have to say anything nasty about you. Ask a cop.
Well,
You didn't do anything to defend that nonsense, so I'm pretty sure folks are going to be excited about
That was a
about
mob
that.
mentality. That was a mob mentality.
KK said they were the infected.
They was definitely
They
infected.
was infected.
Hey, real quick. Hey, you know who I'm talking to. I see you watching. Call in, man, because I would love to hear how y'all are, what the training is, what's coming across with the active officers.
Oh, yes, please
so
call
please call in. You know who I'm talking to. Go ahead.
Please call in.
Go ahead. Outside.
Yo, yeah, man, we outside, right? I mean, ain't nothing to say. I mean, he said it all best, but there's no. At the end of the day, this ain't their first time doing that, right? They know they got body cams on. This ain't their first time. They running like a gang. They moving the way that they move, and like JT said earlier, he said, does you feel comfortable when you see a black cop? Not me. It just because I feel like they act even worse. I feel like they know you and they know how you're supposed to behave or how you're supposed to act, and they come across so much more aggressive. I'd be like, yo, hold on, homie, just chill for a minute. Even though they just come at you sometimes. So it's like, do I think that all cops are bad? Absolutely not. Cops are necessary. But when these type of things happen, it's hard for young brothers to be like, yo, pick the good ones out the bunch.
And the thing is, think about it. Something like this could make, if you getting pulled over for speeding, whatever, it could actually make you want to keep driving till you got to a place where there was a bunch of people.
That's legal. You can legally do that.
And now,
you can legally do that.
But the thing is, now if you keep going, now it looks like you're evading police.
Now I'm driving right to the police station.
What you do, the best way to do it, if you're going to do that, and this would listen so nobody no jokes on this. Basically what you do, you put your flashes on, turn on a dome on your light, put both hands on the wheel, and just steer to where you're going, have your flashes on, slow down to a speed where he clearly knows you're not running, exit, go to a well-lit area, and then just, put your hands outside the vehicle. When the officer approaches, explain to him why you didn't stop. And I mean, officers now, come on, they know why. They know why, and that's a hard thing because I discussed it with officers. You brought up some key points. There was so much wrong in that video, but the thing that really, really, really got me is, I'll get into it. I know the chief of Memphis. There's a rumor going around that she ran Red Dog. She never ran Red Dog. That's just purely rumor. So a lot of what you're hearing is falsehoods. But as far as everything they did, from the lieutenant of that unit to the sergeants, body cams are supposed to be reviewed. With Atlanta, every sergeant has to review a certain amount daily. And if you're doing that, those same actions, because of callous, nonchalant attitude they had and the way they carried it all the way through and the way we were talking on the radio, that should have been picked up. And that's a write-up. Just the verbiage they were using. So there's so much they did wrong, it was almost like a cowboy attitude. One thing I will say, and it's not in defense, the mayor and everybody, disband a unit, do this and do this. That's the same unit that was probably putting down and reducing crime. And the old saying is, you gotta crack eggs and make a cake. And see, what ends up happening, that's where that mentality starts. Okay, one person that was pointed out in there, and this is something that goes into greater detail, but there's one of the officers that was singled out to have should have been fired. And they gave him a second chance. He struck somebody in the head and knocked him out. Okay, and I'm all for second chances because you don't know the particulars of that case. And I'll leave it like that. But to take that individual who has a brutality charge that almost resulted in him being terminated and put him on a street level unit, me and Low in that type of unit, and I was actually in Red Dog, plus I was in a plainclothes unit. And to put somebody that has already been charged with brutality, the check they're gonna have to write on this one, because that's wrongful retention. And then you put him in a unit where he's expected to have violent interactions in dealing with violent individuals and drugs. So there's so much that went wrong on this, but the officers, of course, are gonna be dealt with, but what I would hate to see is Memphis in the DA's office, you're gonna get violation of oath of office. And that, to me, the sergeants involved and the lieutenant involved in that unit, and I don't know how their structure is above that, but those individuals, the bare minimum should be failure to act, dereliction of duty. When they go back and they look at every single thing that transpired and all the violations, what I would do, and I would be doing out there, if I was the chief, I would order that they review every single body cam from a separate entity with law enforcement, because a civilian can't look at that because they're not going to know what the violations are. You can call in anybody to do it that's actually in law enforcement, and they'll go out and pick out all the things. And the first thing you're going to see guaranteed is these guys are doing it on all their stops. So there's a lot more that's probably going to come out of this.
I had a question. So my oldest son lives in Florida, so maybe it's different. But this was just told to me that over the weekend at the cabin that he was pulled over for being in the left lane too long, because the left lane where he was just a passing lane. You know, it's 2 lanes. So a lot of times when it's considered an E-way, then you're just using it to pass a slow car, but you're supposed to get back over. So he was accused of staying in the left lane too long. The officer asked him to give him the key.
The key to his car?
Yes, give me the key. But it was a push start. So what he's taught is hands on the steering wheel, but instead of him going for the ignition, he goes for the key here. He look up, he got a gun to his head. This is what I'm saying. You know, you thinking you teaching enough, but we don't know if it's a push start, you know, tell him, okay, it's a push start. I'm going to reach here. You know what I'm saying? So
What
it's
happens,
just
but he's not a bad kid, so he's doing, or a young man, so he's doing what's natural. He's got to push it off and turn it off first. This is what I would say to that, dealing with the first part of it. When you're in the left lane, what probably happened, the only way I could see that stop justified in Georgia would be if cars are backing up behind them and that one person's in the fast lane and they're causing it where nobody can go around them. That justifies the stop. But what happened after the stop, you can't justify.
Right.
When you go over there, it's okay. Why did you tell them to pull it off? What I would ask you to do that a lot of people don't do is file a complaint, because that's what helps make change. Because we talk about it on the show all we want, but that's what brings about change. We talked about it a lot of times, me and you, about actually setting up videos and scenarios and putting out videos to the public on the show and making where a parent could look at it and teach your son what to do. Your son did it perfect, and I don't want to say, well, he shouldn't have to do that, because then we'd be contradicting.
Hold on one second. They can't hear neither one of these people. They can't hear them out there.
Yeah.
It's just low. They can hear him, but it's real
I'll talk
low.
louder. But what we were talking about doing is doing videos showing what you should do on the stop. So when you look at this situation, your son did everything correct. And I hate to say it, but we need to teach our children, but we do need to teach them to talk to a police officer and let him know everything you're doing. Because there's that old saying, there's levels to shit. There's levels to stuff. When you go from state trooper, City of Atlanta police officer, Gwinnett, Cobb, DeKalb, those are some of the best, considered some of the best in the country. Atlanta's nationally recognized. Okay, but when you go to Podunk, I won't say county because I know a lot of sheriffs. But there's some counties that are known for certain activities.
Yeah.
And so if you want to say, oh, police are bad, take the time to teach your son what to do and like add that to your son. Let them know before you reach. Say, hey, look, I'm reaching for my glove. And I've done that, and I'm a police officer because I can get a feel for the officer. He's being apprehensive. I'm not a little guy. And so I tell him, hey, look, man, I'm reaching to get my, whatever. Or what I typically do to fuse it automatically when I was still a police officer, I got my retirement badge now, would show him a badge, pull out the license, and hand it to him. Tags now in Georgia and most states, they can actually see if you have insurance by the back of your vehicle. So a lot of times, but when you have a bad stop and you feel that you've been wrong, that's when you go down and complain, because if the officer did right, you know what he's going to say? I pulled your son over because there were 16 cars behind him, and then he took his time getting over, he got over, I was asking him questions, and then that's where it's going to get hairy for the officer. Because what was he doing? If he reached and thought he was reaching for something, and he draws it, but it's called a low ready. You never point a gun at somebody. It's going to be important. The video is going to show if his finger was on the trigger. The finger shouldn't have been on the trigger. You go to the low ready. I got one on me, but I don't, the low ready, so you're able to just do this.
Yeah.
Man. So, but hey, what are you reaching for? It's a push start car. I got to shut it off. But you also, as an officer, you should be aware of the fact, young man, he's going to be flustered. That may have been his first traffic stop. So he's going to, may not know. De-escalate. You don't escalate. And when he did, there's so much wrong with that stop. So file a complaint because what's going to happen? Officer's not going to get fired. But if you got to look at it, that may have been a third complaint that officers had, or this may be the first complaint. So the next time something happens, it'll be the second complaint and it'll be dealt with.
Hey, the reality is you're given all the proper things to do, and let's just be honest. There was 100%. There was nothing proper about this stop.
No, we're
from
talking
start. I know. I'm just saying because
the other stop
just the reality is he's giving you all the good stuff, but unfortunately there are some bad cops, and you could do everything right, and by all reports thus far, everything this kid did was right. He didn't do, I haven't seen anything contrary to that to this point.
Right.
Every report, even from the chief, everything they said this guy did was right. Everything the cops did was absolutely 100% wrong, and it's unfortunate that you have bad cops out there.
And weren't there 3 EMT employees that they
3
let go as well?
EMTs just got fired.
That failure to render aid goes to all
Yeah,
of them.
right.
Because a police officer until the fire rescue gets there, or the 4, which is an ambulance, gets there, you're supposed to render aid to that individual. I've actually put pressure on somebody's chest after I shot him. So that's what you got to do.
A nice guy.
That's to keep you from court,
And-
and also do the right thing, preserve life.
I know, is that the caller that y'all was asking? Caller, because I know that we got a lot to talk to him about. Should we wait after the break to speak to him?
No, if he there, let's talk to him.
Caller,
there?
go ahead and you ain't got to introduce yourself, but just caller.
Like ring, ring, ring.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Interesting show. It's unfortunate we are talking about this again, but I also want to follow up on Ask a Cop, and I don't know how long ago he said it, but we do need to teach our young people, even though, you can do everything right, and unfortunately come into contact with that law enforcement officer that has ulterior motives, teach them how to de-escalate that situation. Teach them how to talk calmly to the officer and not challenge him at that time. I think it's very important that we understand arguing our right or wrong point at that moment is not the right time. Now, I am not sitting here trying to defend those actions of those officers, because there's no way you can defend that, because they were wrong all the way around. The part that disturbs me more than the act itself is the comfort level after the act, and how it seemed that this was the norm. They were not shocked. They were not trying to hide. Nobody was like, come on, man, calm down. It appeared that this was a normal behavior, and after cop, you know just as well as I do, I would think that some supervisors are going to be in trouble after this.
Oh yeah. They couldn't have been reviewing that video. And can you talk about? I know what department you work for. You don't have to say the name, but can you talk more? And I'll give this person's background. He's a training officer. He's nationally recognized. He travels to train. But I will tell you this: just go into, from what you've seen, what was wrong, purely from a training standpoint, what they didn't do, body cam wise, radio wise, and also let them know what's in place to make sure that doesn't happen as a punitive form to keep it from happening, as far as turning on your body cam, shutting off your body cam, and whatever penalty.
Well, the body camera, not activating your body camera is so huge now because, and you said a little while ago that not activating your body camera, that's a fireable offense simply because it gives the impression that you're trying to hide something. And when you're trying to hide something, especially when there is a physical confrontation and you did not activate your body-worn camera, that is a serious offense. And people are being fired for that now. I mean, there's no I forgot. There's no my bad. They're being termination. It's not up for discussion. One of the things that I noticed off the rip was the fact that it appeared that they did not have any training on how to handcuff someone that's struggling and not giving up their hands. Now, once again, I'm not defending them at all. But we have, I'm not going to say recently, but we have instituted training where you are taught how to get the hands out from up under a person that doesn't want to give their hands. How, if you have more than one person, everybody is not swinging and pulling, someone can grab legs to prevent from kicking. That way the person doesn't have the ability to roll over, kick you, or anything like that. Now we can focus, one person or two people can focus on the hands. And when I say the hands, we can get the hands out without punching. There are techniques that we use for this. So my question is, in this high intensity unit that's geared toward drugs, street level crimes, what kind of training have you had or offered to deal with those type of situations? Because let's just be honest, you know just as well as I do, we can't sit back and wait until something happens. You have to train now for that moment when it happens, because it is going to happen, unfortunately.
And you know, I believe you in regards to the training, and I believe that, and of course this is me from what I saw, and I watched the video a couple of times. I believe that they were trained. No. But I believe that they were trained, but they were actually doing something else. They were not acting as peace officers. I believe that they was acting as you call them, the infected. It almost looked like a gang initiation. The way they was holding that kid up and wailing off in his head. They were saying, "Give me your hands," but they had his hands.
No,
I don't feel that it was. I feel that they've had training. They decided this is what we want to do to this kid. And I know there's rumors flying around. I don't want to get into that because I don't want to give legs to a lot of stuff that's not factual. But there was something else there other than just mad cop.
Appeared personal.
Well,
I think
that's what I'm saying. It appeared personal. So I feel that I'm sure that these officers have done something where they actually did things that they were trained to do. I feel that this time, this is like we just left the club and we're gonna get this guy. It ain't got nothing to do with being a police. I'm gonna keep saying it because all of them are not out there beating black people. You just said it.
Yeah, but
wait.
How can we
Did you just say that all cops are not bad cops? Yes or no?
All cops ain't bad.
So the ones that are not bad, you saying that they trained to beat black people?
Yeah. They just saying administering the ass.
Come on, man. You smarter than that. You smarter than that. Come on, man.
I feel they deal with us
Not a fact.
as if they don't know who to decipher who's the bad one and who's the good civilian, right? They will draw on you. They will do things to you, and everybody say, "Oh, this person is such a good person," and that's why I feel the same way. I don't have time. I'm never going to be able to come across a whole lot of cops to be able to say, "Well, you know what? Some are good and some are bad." That's why I choose to do the same thing. Well, I just think that most cops are not there to protect and serve.
You said most?
Most, so I treat them all the same.
Now I'll say it because I know that I've done some things in my life, and I've done some things in front of police officers that probably could have warranted a little extra aggression, and they didn't give it to me. So I know for a fact that there are cops out there that's not out there just to get you, because I gave some cops reasons to do it, and they didn't do it.
Go ahead, Bo.
Can I ask the cops in the room a question? Do y'all not agree that this wasn't regular police procedure? This was a hit. They was after this man because he was dating his girlfriend.
There you go.
We're not gonna put that out.
Hold up. We're not going to
rumors.
Yeah, we're not going to spread that propaganda just yet.
Propaganda, because what you don't want to do is chum the water up and maybe put in something where a jury may be influenced, and the jury may say, "Well, I would have did that too if you did that to my girl. We don't want to put that stuff out there. Let's just deal
Well,
with
the reality of it is
unsatisfactory.
social media already put it out there.
Yeah.
So there's not anybody with a computer phone has seen the commentary.
Well, and you
whether
gotta-
it's true or not is a different story. But they've
And
seen
they
it.
also said Chief C.J. Davis was the head of Red Dog. I was in Red Dog. C.J. Davis was not affiliated with Red Dog, never was. So as far as putting it out there that she was the chief or captain over Red Dog, that didn't happen. But we'll be right back.
Wait a minute, hold on. I know we gotta go right back, but I don't know how long the caller got. No, only because we got a
No,
caller.
I'm good.
You good? We'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah, because I want to ask, does the blue line extend across all law enforcement? Could that be the reasons why some of these EMTs didn't step across?
Hold that
and
thought, though.
And actually do something. We'll be right back.
2 minutes, not 3, 2. She made a request to put some White Snake or Charlie Daniels on next week's top 5 flashbacks. Top 5 country and or rock. I'll let you combine this one.
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
And if you wonder about the spell I'm under.
Don't laugh.
Okay.
The Beatles.
And the gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Yeah. Name one Dolly Parton song line ass.
You know why he like Dolly Parton?
You would think that I would deserve a better promotion.
Elton John.
I'm still standing better than I ever did.
Charlie Daniels.
That one down in Georgia.
Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the red pen picking out dough.
That went down to Georgia. I was looking for a soda still. put some White Snake or Charlie Daniels on next week's top 5 flashbacks. Top 5 country and or rock. I'll let you combine this one.
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
Classic Konversations with Jae Tea and Lo. Listen, man, I need y'all to hit those buttons, those like buttons, those heart buttons. Go up, and again, we needed to keep going up and up and up.
I like that.
Before we went to break, I got my man still on the phone. Before we went to break, I asked a question about the blue line, but I'm gonna expand. This was like an elite unit, like Red Dog. So
No, not like Red Dog.
okay, well,
Yes, it is. That's the concept.
It's the concept.
Stop taking it personally.
They're
That's exactly what they are.
they're the elite unit in Memphis. So if other officers pull up on a scene and the officers from this elite unit are there in control of the scene, will it kind of slow people down from taking action because they may be afraid of this unit, these guys?
That's part of the body cam class, and I'd like to the trainer to also make comments on this. When you go to that body cam class, the whole class is what will happen if you don't act, because it goes back to Rodney King. All the people who are standing around watching, you know your body cam is operating, so you're picking up everything. So for you to failure to act and violation of oath of office is the bare minimum on everybody that was on that scene that failed to act, and their body cam is going to tell their location.
Go ahead, caller.
And he is actually correct on you have to act. When I say act, it's not like you're going to run up there and start pulling other officers off. What if you engage in the activity and go ahead and start actually handcuffing somebody? So now I am preventing the, let's say, assault on the individual by go ahead and getting them handcuffed, getting them secure, so we can go ahead and get him up, get him medical need, if need be. But to sit there and watch and say, "Oh, they got it," and turn around and walk away, that's not gonna cut it. That's not gonna cut it.
They didn't even walk away. They just stood there and watched the kid.
Even worse.
Talk about
even
the gas
worse.
deployment also.
Say again, sir.
Talk about the gas deployment when the one officer sprayed gas in that particular situation.
Well, first of all, the gas is OC pepper spray is used to try to control a subject. I'm gonna be honest with you. It appeared that they use it as a form of punishment.
Fact.
Yeah, it didn't appear that they were trying to use it to gain control. Hey, move out the way. Let me get him again. That has nothing to do with gaining control of the subject. Once again, that's that abuse that they were using towards him. That wasn't necessarily a kick or a punch, but it was still used as a weapon to inflict pain on that individual. And once you do that, just sitting him up is not good enough. Once you use that gas, you are required to go ahead and get that person some water. Yes, you get on the radio and ask for an ambulance to come, but you got to find some water to pour in their head to try to decontaminate that person.
You know what would have made me feel good? Would have made me feel real good? If one of those cops would have punched one of the other cops in the face and said, "Calm down." When I start seeing police do that, then you're going to start getting more respect from other people, because when the cops that's there say, "Yo, man, you
that's not going. That ain't the answer.
I'm wearing.
That's not the answer.
And you outside acting like that, you put my life in danger. So once I start seeing cops on video cam snuffing another cop, be like, "Man, get out of here. We ain't doing that." That's when we're going to feel like something's changing. But now, if they're going to keep doing this gang mentality, then it's war. That's why people getting tired.
No, it's not war because you're losing war.
We already lost.
That makes no sense. The way to do that.
No, you have not lost.
You lost.
You haven't lost.
So let me just say this real quick, officer, and just to that comment. I think it's and I just like what you said earlier about you saying we lost. You all have to understand And again, like you have to say no defense of this junk. Everyone's acknowledging was ignorance.
Oh,
But
yeah.
what I think what you all have to understand, the number, if you had any idea, the number of calls and the number of interactions police officers have on a daily basis with the public, this is such, not minimizing this situation, but this is such a small, minuscule portion of policing. The number of calls that officers are on a daily basis, just between the 911 calls alone, just 911 alone, the number of interactions you're having with people, these things just don't happen. These things are rare. It's unfortunate that there are some ignorant officers out there, but to think that all police officers are bad and it's a war and it's no, that's not true. There are a portion of officers, just like in any other profession, that are horrible people. It's just unfortunate. This particular job, you have power over people, and when you have power over people, some people get a God complex. They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yes.
But no one's going to deny that to you. No one's going to sit here and try to defend it. It's true because you have power over people. You know. Just imagine the power that you have. If I'm in a police car and I pull up behind you, you automatically hit your brake. It's just automatic. That's power. And a police officer knows that. You know what I mean? They know their interaction with you has some sense of authority. So everybody can't handle that. Everybody can't handle it. But there are so many officers out there who are doing the right thing, that are actually doing their job, that are actually hitting the body cams, that are actually making the proper stops. So it's not this situation here is blatant ignorance, but this is not the norm. And there's no way in good conscience I can sit here and say this is the norm. That all cops, no, they're not. All of them don't do this BS.
There's so many.
There's not, but if you, again, I heard there's so many parts, but it's the media. But if you see the number of interactions, if you had any idea, I don't know the percentage, but I just know, just from the Atlanta Police Department by itself, the number of interactions these guys have on a daily basis, thousands and thousands. This is a small portion of it.
So my job is not to, my job is not to be sensitive to that. My job is to prepare my children when they're out there as citizens conducting life.
Sure.
So
as well you should.
My job to them is to tell them, no matter what the color that's walking up to your car for whatever the reason, you need to be on guard. You might say, well, shit, he one of us. I mean, I'm gonna be all right. You're not okay. We don't know. I don't know who's walking up to this car. I'm not sure what kind of day they've had. I'm not sure, how many people they've come across, that was bad. I'm not sure of that. So my job is not to be sensitive to it because we're watching certain things happen. My job is, like I said, I have 5 children. They happen to be from young man to men. And you got to prepare. You got to prepare for it. It's not war. We haven't lost, but preparation.
All right, so the question that I posed earlier, right, to the police officers, do you ever hold somebody accountable at a traffic stop, seeing them doing something wrong, and be like, yo, hold on, that ain't happening?
Happens all the time.
All right, I'm just saying. So that's what I'm saying. If
we have officers turning other officers into internal affairs all the time. I hope somebody...
That happens more often than people recognize.
So I would love to see that on camera. When next time something like this happens, it's going to happen again, that a cop would have stood up and been like, yo, nah,
well,
I'm having that.
Let's just be honest. That does not make good news.
Correct.
That does not make good news.
They wouldn't have reported it. That's correct. That's the real. They're not going to report that. It's not a good story.
It's not a good
story. But in the middle of them beating them up, and
it's not a good story. It's not. Fox don't want to report that.
Right.
It's not a good story. That'd have been a great story. The cops fighting, and beating the dude up. That's a whole good movie.
No, but in reality, it happens all the time. I've had people come back to me, officers, and say, "Hey, look, this individual did this on a stop," and then I put one of my sergeants on it to review the body cam, and then we dealt with it. That starts several times. It's initiated an OPS package. Sometimes it's a counseling because it's something small, safety-wise, that the officer's doing. Like that gas never should have been deployed because it could have incapacitated the people. They didn't search his waistband. I was looking for that when you watch it. Rewatch it tonight, people, if you got time, and you'll see while they're getting his hands, nobody was searching his waistband to see if he had a gun. So they would have looked stupid when he jumped up if he'd have turned around and started shooting. So the things that they should have done training-wise, they didn't. The wrongful retention, you can speak on this also. If the one officer that was involved in it had gotten in trouble for knocking somebody out with a punch, and he was almost fired, and they retained him, but then they turned around and put him a couple weeks later, or I don't know the time frame exactly, but put him on a unit that's basically designed for street-level interactions. Was that wrongful retention or wrongful placement? What do you feel on that, Trainer?
Well, I'm unfamiliar with that particular situation, but if you retain that officer, let's be honest. What kind of training did he do? What kind of retraining did that officer get? And to be honest with you, that's not the area or the assignment to put him in. Let's just be honest. That officer should be in a, let's say, an administrative or a position like that, because they've shown if you're going to retain them, I'm not saying right or wrong about retaining them, but I'm saying if you're going to retain them, you have to put them in a position where they can handle the situation, and putting them back in that situation and they've not been trained properly how to handle it, you're setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion.
And caller, also answer this, how many times and I know your position, I know you can't say what it is, but how many times have you been subpoenaed to produce training records?
And what people don't understand is when an officer is involved in something, their record from them all the way going back to the academy comes into play. How did they handle their training scenarios when they were in the academy? How did they respond to being corrected from an instructor? What did they do? Their entire history comes into play. What were they taught? Okay, that's why I say training plays a role. What were they taught? What documentation do we have of the training being taught? Not just you telling us, but what is the lesson plan on that training so that we can go back and look at it and see exactly what they were taught.
And I'll speak to my department, Atlanta. When Atlanta puts together a unit and puts them out on the street, like when they did Apex, before Apex even hit the street, there was months of training on those police officers before they ever even hit the street. There's meetings just to decide what clothing they're gonna wear. They could have came back black again and had a fear factor. They didn't. They stayed away from the Red Dog name. They stayed away from black, the color black, because they didn't want to strike fear in the citizens. That is a group that's put out to eradicate criminals out of the community. So they made sure they made them they look like park rangers. If you're watching, I'm sorry, but it looks like park rangers. That's the first comment we made. It looks like a park ranger because they wanted to make sure it looked as non-aggressive as possible.
Well, he said something that scared me. He said this officer, if they put him back out there, he need to be retrained. So that lets me know that someone is not doing the proper training before he was let out the first time.
That's going to come out. When it's
the
not
training thing, people can be taught a whole lot of stuff.
Exactly.
And decide not to use it. The training is not the issue here. They're being trained. These guys decided to do something totally opposite. We're talking about training, like Alan Iverson. We're talking about training. We're talking about training. No, these dudes decided not to do what they were supposed to do.
Officer on the phone. I brought this up in the past. They got things you can wear on your body now to tell your pulse rate, your heart rate. Is there a way they can put this on cops when training and see how he
Who's gonna pay for it?
Over a black person or he pull over a white person? If his
who's gonna pay for it?
And he starts to sweat when he pull over a black person, maybe he don't need to work around black people. He should be working around them.
Who's gonna pay for it?
That's what I'm asking. I'll pay for one.
That's a valid point he just brought up. What a lot of people don't realize, the amount of a city's budget that goes into law enforcement training. Atlanta's talk about, if somebody could talk about it would help, but Atlanta is head and shoulders above anybody in the state of Georgia. We get more training than the actual Georgia Police Academy.
I still don't understand
And
why we
so
talking about
people
training.
don't understand that part about it. And the thing about it, I think there should be studies done more so on how to remove bad officers out of the department. But see what happens a lot of times, they put people in positions in departments that never actually did it themselves. So they have to, no, that's not, I'm not gonna hit on anybody, but when they do that, it causes them to not know what they're looking at, and then they put somebody there that they think is good at what they're doing. So when that person looks at it, he says, yeah, that works, because years ago in the 90s, they decided that police departments would function better if they got an administrative person or even an outside person to run a department, and it doesn't work. Exactly, paper pushers. So you have a succession of chiefs that never really did it themselves. And what happens at that point, they put people that they know, and that people like, okay, if they say, hey, put together a team of people to do something in comedy, you would go to the comedians you know and put them on there. So if you're somebody that never did it themselves, you're going to tend to bring people into it that you know, and so birds will feather flock together. So you have a top that really never did it, and the lower people are doing things, and they got good-hearted people, but the people they're putting in those positions just don't know. And it's not something you can get in a book. I would like to see police departments go where they go back on a merit-based situation, because what happens I'll just speak on Atlanta. There's no merit involved in it. It's just you take a test, you test well, boom, I'm gonna put you in charge. So you get some kid that came out of Georgia Tech, and he decides to be a police officer, and he tests up to lieutenant. And what's the record on that? Well, somebody could know, but tell you the record on that may be 6 years or 5 years. So you mean to tell me you went from college, and in 5 years now you're a lieutenant, or 6 years you're a lieutenant, and now you're over officers. I'm here to tell you, it takes about 3 years of being on the street before you're competent at being a police officer, just on handling the day-to-day basis stuff. So now you have somebody that in 4 years can shoot the sergeant, and he's over somebody. So how can you teach somebody if you haven't been there?
I think the problem is that, you train like the military. And that's how the police move in America. They act like military. And they act like when they get an arrest or they go into somebody, if he shows any type of resistance, they're gonna go, they attack like they dealing with somebody that's not even American. Like, I think that they gotta start treating people like human beings. And I think that's where you got, once you give people military training and they behave a certain way, because I know guys that train, they're learning how to do things that they teach you overseas. That they teach you when you go to Iraq. They treating us the same way.
But my point, but to contradict that is, there are bad guys in the military who done stupid stuff. There are guys in the military who kill folks on all the time. It happens on the basis all the time. What I'm trying to tell y'all is there's bad people in everything. I don't care what, like he said, what training you give them. There are some people who take things. They're bad people, man, and certain things they get power struck and they just do certain things that's just dead wrong. I don't care what profession it is.
But to pick up on what he's saying, how many times have we said, "Dang, why you couldn't just shoot him in the leg"?
You can't. They don't train. That's not. They don't train you to shoot in the leg. That's right. You're not
training.
training.
In a situation with a weapon, it goes like this: if you shoot if you're shooting 100 on your target and you're an expert shot, on the stressful situations, you may go down to 90, 85. If you're shooting in the 80s, you're off the paper.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah, you can't shoot in the leg because
when you're under fire, or in a stressful situation, what you did on the range totally changes. I know that for a fact.
It's called pucker factor.
Yeah, I know that for a fact. But
hey, Carla, go ahead.
Let me give an example in regards, because you was talking about the power thing. When I worked in corrections, now the badges that police officers had, I'm just use this cup. It wasn't this big, but let's say the badges that police officers had was this big. The badges we had was this big. Now, we were correctional officers. We only have authority within the walls, within the gates, within the fences. This dude actually pulled over somebody for speeding.
Wow.
Because he was correctional. He had a little power. He pulled somebody over for speeding, called the cops and said that he's making a citizen's arrest just because he had that badge. And that's just an example in regards to the whole power thing. Everybody can't take it. But let me ask y'all this. Trainer, ask a cop. Does a team like this strike fear in other officers on the force?
And what do you mean by strike fear?
Does other officers that's, regular sized dudes, are they kind of in awe or scared, intimidated of this specialized unit? Because,
well, I don't think, maybe not intimidated, but I will say the as you use the awe factor, because these are supposed to be the elite, correct? These are supposed to be the guys that know what to do, how to take the real bad guys off the street. So I won't say fear, but I will say that awe factor probably does play a role.
Because and I'll add to that because I either ran these type of units or in them: fugitive, SWAT, Red Dog, narcotics, gang unit, fugitive. And when you do that, you're considered the best of the best. And that's one reason people do it.
Correct.
And you get the best training, and you get so much training. I want to see the transcripts, these officers' transcripts. That's what they should put out in the media. Go open records and get their training transcripts from the state. But what I see here was just so much just things that it wasn't safe. The way they were handling him would have gotten them shot if he was a bad guy.
This is why I say they didn't do.
Yeah.
This is why I say their transcripts probably going to show all the training. That day, they were not acting as police officers.
Exactly, they were asking stuff.
And I would say to you, it wasn't that day. This was their norm.
Yeah.
This was the norm.
This is how they conducted business on a day-to-day basis.
The day that we saw it.
Yeah, that's what I would say. But real quick, not ask a cop, but officer, tell me when things like this happen, what is the temperature of the current active duty officers? What is the temperature in the department right now when stuff like this happens?
There are layers to it, okay? My first reaction was I immediately went back to the George Floyd protest and dealing with the angry protesters that had a right to protest, that had a right to be angry. So dealing with that and the anger coming from the people and the people not recognizing you're angry also at those actions. Also, the next layer is, let's just be honest, and I don't know his name, the gentleman saying that, all cops are bad, and I really do hope.
We outside. I didn't say all cops are bad.
Huh?
I didn't say all cops are bad.
He just said they train to beat black people.
I said they train to beat
Oh,
black
my bad. He said they train to beat black folks. My bad. But I do hope that you change your mind. I do.
Nope.
But the fear of when you're on that next call and you come into that contact with that person that has that mindset, now that person's normal thinking, rational thinking goes out the door because they're angry at you because of the actions of someone else. Now you have to deal with that. That's the fear of that. Or the fear of, let's just be honest, guys. Let's just be honest. There's been an uptick, especially over the last, 12, maybe 14 months of people literally just walking up to police officers and shooting them in the head. I mean, there's been an uptick of that. I mean, straight assassination, straight murdering officers because of the actions of other people. So there's that fear factor. And I want everybody to understand this, and Ask a Cop has mentioned it, but we are fathers also. We have young men. I personally have two boys that look like grown men, that are young, 20 years old, 18 years old, that have to be trained, like the young lady said, have to be trained how to deal with that situation because you don't know the mode or the mood or the mindset of the individual you're coming in contact with. You have to know how to de-escalate that situation and make that individual feel comfortable and make them feel like, hey, I'm not a threat. I'm not trying to harm you. You know, I'm just trying to go about my day. So there are many, many layers to this situation. Hey, does everybody remember the was the Georgia Southern quarterback that got arrested for was it methamphetamine on his windshield? Think about that. Your child going to jail. Now I don't know if it was racially motivated. I know it was incompetence, but I don't know if it was racially motivated. But your child going to jail for something they didn't do. And unfortunately, it does happen, but we have to teach them how to deal with those situations.
I think cops got to start behaving like we said, like humans. You should have, that's your job. Walk up to people with respect, walk to them politely, tell them, look, hey, man, I'm not here to cause no harm. You should have to do that.
What I'm telling you is, what I'm trying to tell you is, there are thousands of cops that do just that. I'm trying to tell you, there's thousands of them that do just that. All of them don't do this. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand. All of them don't do this.
Of course,
it's unfortunate. It's hyped up when it happens, and it causes all cops to be looked at in certain kinds of ways. But I'm telling you, all of them do not act like that.
I understand
They do
that.
not.
But if you're wearing that uniform, that's what I'm trying to say. When does it get to the point when police start saying, yo, look, and you wearing the same uniform I'm wearing, yo, you got to knock this off and do it right there on the spot.
Officers do it all the time. Officers do it all the time.
He told you that, they're telling each other all the time. He told you, they report it. It just
gets reported
no one is. You're not gonna get an officer to defend this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Nobody's defending this stuff.
No,
nobody's gonna defend this stuff. But to think that all of them do that is what I'm saying. That's not accurate. All of them don't do that.
I ain't saying all, but a lot of cops be whooping ass.
It's not a lot. If officers were doing what you say, there would be 80 to 90 to 100 officers-related shootings and killings a month. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't exist. It's an imaginary thing. Because there's only, 300 and... Well, you probably know the number, caller, but it'd be 300 to 400 a year, white, black, yellow, green that are killed. Every one of them counts, every shooting, but because those shootings occurred, there's only a small fraction of them that are deemed not justified. And so that's what I'm trying to say. When this happens, yes, these officers need to be dealt with harshly, but not swiftly because you want to make it stick. When you go out and just do something to appease the public, they still have rights and they have to go through the justice and legal system, so they'll stay there. When you rush it, like the state of Atlanta did when those officers that pointed the guns at the college kids and they act like it wasn't justified, all those officers got their job back. The Wendy's shooting was right and correct training-wise. So that guy is going to sue the city and get a very large check. So when you do things correctly, it needs to be dealt with, and when you do things right, it needs to be maybe showing it more. If they took the time and probably pulled, every zone has it, 10 or 12 traffic stops that occur every week from the time the officer gets out to the car to the time he writes the ticket. He's a motherfucker, you cocksucker son of a bitch, you nigger, you cracker, you white motherfucker, fuck you, and the officers take it. The vast majority of the officers just take it, write the ticket and say, sir, sign here, please. You know, and on the bottom of every ticket in Georgia, it says, or arrest. So if you refuse to sign it, that officer can arrest you. The vast majority of officers don't, they give them their copy and go. But that officer could arrest. A lot of officers say, what am I going to gain by placing this gentleman under arrest, or that they don't. So there's a lot more that occurs that you don't know about.
Well, I think the good thing is that you can sue the estate of a police officer now, and you can put a lien against him, and he can sue his bond. So if a cop is doing something incorrect, he's doing something wrong.
It's always been that way.
But I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. So that's why at the end of the day, when these things start happening, and you know, like, look, man, you got it, right? You just make sure you go, you put a lien on him, you know, you sue his estate, you sue his bond, and then it's a wrap.
I just watched a video just yesterday in a corrections. I don't know what jail it was, where they had 5 cops on top of this one guy inside the jail, and they showed the guy's last movement. You know what I mean? He had 1,000 pounds on him, just like this guy. You know what I mean? And he died right there in the jail. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it happens in all these professions, man. But everybody's not bad. But
hey, trainer. Hey, man. As always, we appreciate your expertise when you give us a telephone call.
Absolutely. I'm glad you called in tonight.
Yep. And for real,
Yes, sir.
he does have sons that look like grown men.
Grown men.
Grown men. For real, for real. So listen, man, we're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back with that top 5. Come right back. 3 minutes.
No, I had a situation. Me, I was in Conyers. I was in Conyers, and I lost my keys. I went into Home Depot, got a key made, but somebody came and picked me up, went across the way to get something to eat. I couldn't find my keys, so I get back. The first thing I do, I'm in the parking lot of the car.
Klassic, we doing great.
Yo, we back. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
And that's a cop.
Yeah, man. And so, great conversation tonight, man. Great conversation. I was gonna make some comments, but if I do, we're gonna start talking again. And right now, we're on good time, so we're trying to get up out of here so that maybe so I can get some sleep. So,
Yeah, Tim McGraw.
Angelo,
Yo.
what you got? What's top 5, man?
Real quick, the KK said the police. Agree with that. He said he's cops filming them. I doubt they knew that the cop camera
And the
was filming them because they were covering up their body cams. They thought they got
You
away.
got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up.
Yeah.
Number one
Nobody
said
comment
something.
on this, but
Number one said something earlier about
80 yards from his house.
yeah, three doors down from his house, man. Trying to get to mama house.
Yeah, he was yelling out for his mother.
Hey, anytime a grown man yells out for their mama,
Charlie Daniels.
when that happens, that's all. That's it.
That's when you ever seen black cop beat up a white person. Beat a white person to death. I don't know about the death, but they definitely beat the brakes off of him.
I wouldn't know about that, but I think that probably does happen.
Yeah, pretty sure it happened.
You just
All right, top 5. That's last week's right there, Will. We not.
Hey, man. Hey.
So,
Hey, y'all have to excuse our engineer, man. He hasn't been here for a minute, and he ain't used to these late nights with Classic Conversations. So, he over there standing up trying to stay awake, but he doing.
I caught him
doing a
dozing
great
earlier.
job.
Hey, listen. All right, top 5 this week, in tribute to our Super Bowl. Our top 5, your top 5 black quarterbacks of all time.
Oh, good. I'll go on that.
Your
I'll be
top
first on
5 black quarterbacks
I'll go first on that.
of all time.
Look.
One move.
Hey, wait. It's gonna be a lot of repeating because there ain't been but so many.
There's a lot of
Well, did y'all know 19 black quarterbacks started an NFL game this year? 19 of them. Pretty impressive.
I would go with Warren Moon, number one, Steve McNair, Randall Cunningham. I got to go with Mahomes. And this is
You just said it's going to be hard. You just said it was going to be easy.
No, I'm just trying because there's a lot of them just caught in the back. And I have put Vic. No, I can't put Vic over. I think Lamar Jackson's better than Vic. Lamar Jackson.
That struck a nerve.
And so it has started. Black, not Blizzak. You want the blackest of black, Blizzak.
Outside, you got yours?
Yo, we out. Oh, shit. Yo, we outside. You on? Yo, word. Top black court. I like that. Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair, Michael Vick. And, you got to give my man, I don't know, man. I don't want to give him it too early, but this dude Mahone is getting up there, man. That dude Patrick Mahone is really showing something right about now. I think he can go down So I give him get him in there in top 5.
Millennium, you gonna chime in? Send that mic over. Go ahead. You ready? That's how you grab the mic. Go ahead.
I'm gonna pass.
You got one? Not even one?
She's all woman, boy.
Mike Vick.
We put that sports thing up, and she be like, ow, ow, ow,
Got a millennial team back there.
Hello, and thank you. We're back here. Donovan McNabb.
There you go.
Randall Cunningham. Steve McNair. Michael Vick and Michael Vick. Yeah, I mean, you got the Philadelphia Eagles, Michael Vick. and the game-changing Atlanta Falcons making people run into each other. Michael Vick.
One of the
Julius
greatest.
Peppers
Hey, man.
had to get on the jump rope.
One of the greatest runs of all time when he made them boys run into each other. That's of any running back. That's of running backs or anything.
If you ever need to race somebody, race Michael Vick outside of Onyx for $25. You gonna lose.
Mike, you were looking it up. You ready? You passing.
All right, here we go. Let me see. I got to start with Steve McNair. That's top of the list. Because, I'm from Mississippi, so that's home. That's home right there. I got to put Patrick Mahomes on the list because, when you look at what he's doing at such an early age and stuff, and, to have made it to the Super Bowls he has, it's crazy, his numbers and stuff. I'm gonna go old school on y'all. You gotta put Doug Williams in the conversation.
I was thinking about him.
Because he the first to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm also I would put Warren Moon on the list, and I'm gonna go Randall Cunningham. It's Eagles. How many Eagles made it?
Ready?
Oh no, I was going to add Doug Williams.
Give us 5. Don't add. Give us 5.
I got to get 5.
I get 5.
I'm gonna have to go with Doug Williams first. Mike Vick, Donovan McNabb. I definitely have to agree with Patrick Mahomes and McNair. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm about to be a 4.
Dak Prescott.
Oh my God. How can you mention his name? Take his mic. Take his mic. He's drunk.
Other than winning.
lost too soon. He had some years left.
Yeah. All right.
All right, my man Todd Vick said, Todd Vick said Mike Vick, Doug Williams, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, and Donovan McNabb. All right. I got Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair, Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. My honorable mention is Doug Evans from Chicago Bears. When I tell you that dude played with nothing, he ran around like he was being chased by somebody, but he was being chased by somebody because he had no blocking. And then you got to give shouts out, man, to the first one, Marlon Briscoe. First black NFL quarterback to start an NFL game.
Don't worry, you about to hear him.
Look, I was gonna use that one. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go with Marlon. I'm gonna let Angelo.
Yeah, don't worry, you're gonna hear it again.
Oh snap! Wait a minute.
You forgot he was.
I forgot about my man. I got to change my list.
Yeah.
But Stephanie, appreciate you chiming in. She got Patrick Mahomes, Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, Steve McNair, Troy Smith. Wow.
She must be an Ohio State fan.
49ers.
She put 49ers behind that name, so she's a 49ers fan. Yeah, Cam can't knock anybody out, though. Cam is my high honorable mention. He's going to smoke cigars with him, so I got to put him up there.
All right.
Cordell Stewart.
Number one fan got Doug Williams, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Aaron McNair, Michael Vick. She got a gang of honorable mentions. Vince Young, Vince Evans, Lamar, Jalen, Patrick, Justin Fields. KK got Warren Moon, Patrick Mahomes, Randall Cunningham, Lamar Jackson, Steve McNair. For a few years, Kaepernick seemed like he was going to be one of the greats, too.
I don't see. I've just never could get on with his fight in regards to why he's not on the team. I'm like, dude. I mean, yeah, you was better than some of the backups, but I just never was a Kaepernick. I just didn't think he did.
Kaepernick had about a good 2 years where I think he balled out, but like you said, when he was doing his protest, he wasn't even starting quarterback, so I always question that part.
Yeah, I don't think he could. I think could have been true. Hey, this year.
All right.
But hold up, before you go.
Go ahead.
You said that when I said Cam Newton, I may as well have said Cordell Stewart. You putting them in the same breath? Oh. I was about to say, I know you know. Slash was good, but you can't put him in the breath of Cam Newton, boy. Cam was a beast in that 3-year span, boy.
He was indeed. All right, I got my man James Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers. And people don't realize how good that man really was. He was better than Bradshaw. He just had an alcohol problem. But, when he got hurt, he couldn't recover. But it's major how history changes. Because that Super Bowl year, he was supposed to be the starting quarterback. And so, but just think about, so I love my franchise, though. Just to we had a starting black quarterback in the 70s. Who else could say that? You know what I mean? Everybody, Pittsburgh's always been a revolutionary franchise. I'm just saying.
Better revolutionize some wins next year.
Yeah. Hey, man. Everybody watching the playoffs at this point besides two teams. I don't want to hear that BS. If you ain't one of them two teams, you sitting on the same sofa we sitting on.
Let's play back the tape. That's what y'all should do. Go back and get the tape and have everyone's picks, and then have my picks. We did the picks.
You're right. Joe Gilliam, not James. James Harris with the Rams. Joe Gilliam was Pittsburgh quarterback. So Joe Gilliam, James Harris, some history. Then we're gonna go. Gotta go Mike Vick. Just and not necessarily for his quote unquote quarterback play, but just how his play revolutionized the way the game is played today. You know, I always give credit to people who changed the game. And although my next guy, Randall Cunningham, actually was the man who changed it.
Monday night game.
Yes, sir. Randall Cunningham doesn't get his proper respect as being one of the greatest of all time. And dude could punt. I mean, he had the 80-something yard punt one time. Randall Cunningham could do it all.
And he was a black quarterback that went to the University of Nevada in Las Vegas.
How about that? How
Man,
about that?
Randall Cunningham was way before his time.
He was indeed. Then I got to give it up to my man Doug Williams, first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl, start and win the Super Bowl. Another quarterback that was given everything negative you could possibly give. A team that didn't want you. They didn't want to start the quarterback. You know what I mean? You know, but he seized the opportunity. And
what was the guy? Schroeder?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the other quarterback
Jay
on the
Schroeder.
Redskins at the time?
They did not want Doug at quarterback. And he made them eat their words, period.
Schuler from Tennessee.
And then I gotta give it up to my man Warren Moon. You know what I mean? Again, another guy who they didn't even want on the team, had to go to the CFL and break all the records of the CFL.
Right.
5 years of his career.
5 years. Because
Wow.
they didn't think he was smart enough to play the NFL. And then he came in there and just shattered everything in the NFL.
And
Oh,
his
This man would have yards would have passed had he not had to go 5 years at the CFL. With all the yards he did pass for.
And the thing is, he wasn't a running quarterback.
Nah, pocket passer.
He was a pocket passer, so that basically the knock against him specifically was that he was not smart enough. Period.
Wow.
It's crazy. Close. I know. Close. Real close.
4 black players integrated NFL. Yeah, he whooped John Elway, beat him down. There we have it, man. Top 5.
Right on time.
You gonna turn to Mr. Godfrey?
Mr. Godfrey. So, sir, go and let everybody know where they can follow you. Talk about your book, where they can buy that at, and talk about your book that's coming out. And, let us know what movies you got coming out. Because I know you got something out. I know you got something, bro.
And where they can follow you.
I know
see
you
all
got
this
some
stuff.
IMDb credits coming from somewhere.
Okay, well, you can follow me on both Facebook and Instagram at I Am Ron Godfrey. That's I Am Ron Godfrey on both Facebook and Instagram. You can find my book on my website. If you want a autographed copy, you can go to my website and order it from my website. If not, you can also order it from Amazon, and it's available there. And as far as movies are concerned, I'm going to be filming a movie called Controlled Minds next month, actually, where I'll be playing lead detective, and it's going to be an exciting one. So I've already done a movie where I did my first fight scene. Matter of fact, that's on Tubi, and I played Tawana Braxton's husband on that one. It's called Lust and Deceit.
Yeah, that's in my list. 'Cause I remember you posted that one. It's in my
So
list.
in this one, I get shot. So, this one coming up, I get shot. I was like, oh Lord, okay, it's getting
Hey,
worse.
man,
Yeah.
wasn't you on Hulu?
Yes, I was on the series Mike about Mike Tyson. That's on Hulu. I'm on episode number 5. I played Desiree Washington's father.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah, man. I'm sitting
on
there.
that, I'm on that series.
Sitting there late. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm just finding out how to use that little remote, that Roku remote. I'm like,
Right,
look
right.
like my boy. I'm like, look.
You got to look very closely because they put hair on me, So they put hair on me and they made me shave my beard. So. Yeah. Well, the way they did it, they pieced it on me. So they drew me a hairline, and they took a marker. Don't do it like that. I said, I've been told about you.
But he's a comedian.
Yeah, I heard about it.
He's a comedian.
But they drew a hairline and pieced the hair on me and everything like that. And the worst part about it was when they had to take it off. they had to, use alcohol and they was scrubbing really, really hard. That hurt, but I made it. I made it through. I made it through. Yeah. No, they ain't never going back. Yeah, they did. So that's why I keep it low. Yeah. So so to speak.
He going nonstop over there.
Yeah.
The foundation is jlgresearchfoundation.org. That is the website for the foundation in memory of my son. For anyone who wants to make donations, that's where you can do it. Instructions and everything, and all kind of information is on their website about the foundation, about the tumor, and everything like that.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Ms. Nyasha, where can they find you?
Facebook is The Realtor Hub, and Instagram is _ The Realtor Hub.
She just be straight and to the point.
And my website is rongodfrey.com.
Got it. We had it up there.
You had it up there?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh,
outstanding.
they got my name right. Good.
How about that? We outside. What you got, brother?
We outside. You know, we got, listen, man.
Told your name up, though.
It's heating up. What happened, brother?
I said he told her name up, though. Look at that.
Wow.
That's already in there.
Hilarious.
I didn't touch this. This just happened inside. This wasn't outside. This been a crazy show. Listen, the reason I got here late is because Tuesday nights are heating up in the Uptown Comedy Corner. I'm so happy and proud of it. It's getting going. Make sure y'all pull up to the 520 every Tuesday. Doors open at 6:30. That's where you can find me at. Show start at 7. Yeah, my mic ain't on? Yeah, hello? Oh, we back outside. Yeah, we're going to start over. You can find me at the Uptown Comedy Corner each and every Tuesday. Doors open at 6:30. $5 funny, $5 a drink, $5 to get in, $5 to eat. You know, we're getting it going. Make sure you pull up. And, yo, you can follow me on Sugar Sean Riley on Instagram. Sugar, SugaSeanRley on Instagram. And that's for my TikTok, and that's everything else, man. And you can find me in LA Fitness working out. So it's everything. So it's game time. But, yo, we outside. We outside the box. You already.
It is. Ask a cop, man. Talk to us.
Hey, just chilling. Back in town. Got to unwind from my vacation. Gonna be probably going to the DR if anybody wants to join. Yeah, so just chilling. That's all. Retired life.
Tired life. Hey, listen, couple things real quick. Y'all see the link we posted earlier. We're going to be on the website and everything, how to advertise. I had a couple people approach me about that this week. So we definitely doing commercials. So if you have a quick video you want to shoot to us, is the website, where did you send it to? They have something. Sent to the email. Okay, good deal. Had a brother call the other day, man. He just said, man, you just don't know how many people watch your show and get touched by different topics y'all have. He said, man, y'all just be amazed at how many people watch it and talk about it, you know. So it's always cool to hear that kind of stuff, man. I appreciate all y'all who follow the show and share the show. I want y'all to continue to keep sharing it. We post it, please share it. And then I had to do a shout out to my mom. My mom is living her retired life. She's making bracelets and whatnot, man, on her off time, and she's going to the senior citizen home. Isn't that nice? Yeah, she made it. She made that for me, man. You know, she went to the senior citizen places, man, and exercise and get in the pool. And
Mama Sykes, I need mine light blue, please. That would
Mama
be great.
yeah, man. So, you know, I was like, oh, that's nice. Got the perfect color and everything. So
gave us a little Michigan blue. I need my Carolina blue.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But anyway, man, appreciate y'all. Keep tuning in.
Yeah, as Angelo said, man, I actually had some people hit me up also, man, actually out of D.C., that was telling me that they've been watching the show. And, of course, I told them, man, listen, I need for y'all to call in and talk to us a little bit, you know. Said they were sharing it, so I'm like, great. You know, I can't see when they're sharing it. I can't see when they're sharing it, but want them to call in and be a part of it, and that's what we want y'all to do some more of. You know, it's our opinions. We need your opinions also. That's what it is dialogue for our community, so we need dialogue from the community, not just from us. So make sure y'all give a call in to us. Not much with me, man. Like I said, working on this play, God Guys. Like I said, man, it's one of the hardest assignments that I've had in regards to theater. I have monologue after monologue after monologue, but I promise you I'm going to kill it. And I didn't realize it, but the show is actually we're going to be actually performing on Father's Day weekend in June. I didn't realize that until I did my table read. We talked about that. So, there's some significance to that because, we as black men, most of us are fathers, especially the ages of everybody that's in this play. We're fathers, and so we're talking about things that affect fatherhood because it affects you as a person, so it affects you as being a father. That's going to do it for me, man.
Do you like theater or film better?
Film.
Why?
I just said, monologue after monologue after monologue. And in film, you can, holler for that line, they can cut and redo it. Yeah. Well, when you're doing this play, when you're on that stage, you can't holler line, and then also, there ain't no redoing it. You have to have the talent to be able to actually, recover. Even if you mess up, keep it going to where nobody else knows that you messed up.
Mm-hmm. Gotta recover.
It's an art to that. It's an art to it. Everybody can't do it, but I'm proud of my process, so I'm gonna keep it rolling. This play means a lot to me, so that's why I'm doing it. But Todd Vick, he asked this, man, real quick. Nobody else. I'm gonna just ask a cop on this one. He said, how does the police union affect any situation when dealing with these type of issues?
The police union ensures that the officers' rights are, they can't just railroad them. They step up. And the importance of that, people, on everybody says, well, they didn't know, because every time an officer does something that's not wrong, a lot of times, like the Wendy situation, that young man was out of work for almost 2 years. And it's justified. Everybody in the state of Georgia, in law enforcement and in the judicial system, knew that officer did the right thing. But because of public opinion and the backlash, we had a Mayor Bottoms, with no backbone. And she knew the chief told her it was good, everybody told her it was good, and she still went against it. So those type of things happen, but it also keeps it, because if you get to the point where you just, hang them all, what ends up happening, you have officers that say, hands off. And that's happening in a lot of inner cities, Chicago especially, Baltimore, where officers aren't doing as aggressive patrol as they should. They're just answering 911 calls. And it's nice for people at this table to have money and they're going home to middle-class neighborhoods. But when people are going home to poor neighborhoods that aren't being properly policed because of quote-unquote police, okay, well, you don't want us to help, we'll just stand back. And they're doing it, some along racial lines, and some of them along the lines that if I'm going to be fired or suspended before I even get a chance to explain myself, or a legal judicial system, well, we slow down or stop. And when that happens, the only people we're going home to nice, safe neighborhoods in suburbia or in the city in the right areas, and the poor are getting victimized by the infected in that area.
Yeah, I had a retired major just chimed in. He said the police union is horrible with no power. He just retired 30 days ago. Amazing.
All right, man. So
I know you're talking about.
All right,
hey, real
man,
quick, before you chime out, Teasy, I just want to shout out Brother Godfrey one more time, man. We appreciate your story. To come out and share that with us, and it's huge. Appreciate that, man. We'll continue to pray for you, brother.
Thank you.
This is, like I said earlier, it's a fraternity that nobody wants to be in.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we're our own support system. You know what I mean? So I'll support you.
Thank you.
Anything you're doing, man, because I know exactly what this feels like. There is no timetable for recovery because it doesn't exist. It's just continue to maintain. Yours is fresh. Again, mine happened in 1999. It's 2022, and I still know everything. Like I said, that whole day, I can tell you everything that happened. You know what I mean? So I just know the hurt that comes with this, and so I can tell you from all these years, it's still fresh. But I encourage you. The one thing you can encourage people to do around you is continue to talk about your son. All right. For a while, like he said, he didn't know. I had a hard time for a long time even bringing him up because it hurts so bad. You know what I mean? But nothing makes me smile more when somebody remembers a memory of him or brings him up. Man, it changes my whole day. So just encourage people to don't be hesitant to speak his name. Don't be hesitant to speak a memory. You know what I mean? Because that is part of that healing process.
Right.
And so, you know, because people be they don't know.
Right.
But just let them know it's okay. You know what I mean?
And I do that.
Yeah,
I do that.
absolutely. So I just wanted to encourage that, brother.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for having me.
Oh, no doubt, bro. I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. There's a lot of things and people in our life. Sometimes we have to take inventory, figure out what's good and what's bad, and put those things in the rightful place. People also. And with that, Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.
And that's a cup.
And we out. You dig?
Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to read. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo. You never know which way to read. The Rick is gonna go. Classic Conversations with Jae Tea and Lo.